Hello, good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live, the show that not only brings you a live internet Texas Hold'em 7 nights a week, you also get commentary and analysis from our team of poker experts. And there he is. Tonight I'm joined by the one and only Matt Broughton. How are you doing, Matt? All right?
Very good, thanks. Hello, everybody. Nice to be back with you.
Looking forward to tonight's show?
Very much so, very much so. Good
feeling about tonight's show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard, but I'm on a bit of a roll as far as the Beat the Presenter tournaments go. I've actually won 2 in a row. Now, you know tonight I'm going to go out first, don't you now?
I've got a very similar story to that about my progression in the Beat the Presenter, but we won't touch on that till a bit later on.
Maybe we should swap chairs.
Not a bad idea, actually.
No, we'll not talk about that too much, otherwise the pressure will be on a bit later on. But as always, we've got lots of poker for you. We'll be watching cash games and sit and goes, as usual. And Matt will be giving you his commentary throughout the games. And also, we're taking your texts and emails. We want your questions. What do you want to talk about? It's up to you. You decide. Please, any poker questions. It's amateur night tonight, so feel free if it's something quite simple, you're not quite sure how to play the game, or you're just a new player, get those questions through to the studio. You can text us. There's the number coming up on your screen. It's 84222. 84222. Make sure you put the word poker at the start of your message. And you can email. There's the address. It's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And if you want to find out anything else about the show, just check out our website, which is www.pokernightlive.co.uk. Well, Matt, would you do the honours and take us around the tables?
It should be my pleasure.
My pleasure.
Okay. This here, what you are looking at, is a 25 cents, 50 cents cash table, and that's a nice full complement of players. We shall pop back here a bit later on. We also feature the magnificent sit and goes. This is a $2 sit and go. Looks like that one's only just started by their chip count, so... oh no, tell a lie, we've lost one already. I lied to you already at this point of the show. And we also have a $5 sit and go, which is a full table, unlike the last one that I lied about.
Lots of good stuff to commentate on, and we'll be getting to those tables very soon. But as I said before, it is your show, so whatever you want to talk about, if you've got a question or just a comment, get them through. 84222 is the text number, and the email is poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Well, I think we might start with a bit of cash. What do you reckon?
Yes, let's do that right now.
There it is, our first game of the evening.
Indeed.
And some players I've not seen before.
Yeah, lots of fresh faces, not a bad thing.
We love it. We love new players on Poker Night Live.
Yeah, always good to see.
So tell us about a 25, 50 cent cash game, Matt.
Well, I'm going to go back even further than that.
Right.
And tell you a bit about Texas Hold'em.
Oh, right. It's amateur night tonight, so bear in mind, you know, if you're an advanced player, stick with us and we'll get into a bit more depth a bit later on, but just for our new players, we're going to go back to the basics for
Absolutely.
the first
I mean, it's not going
to
take very long, so it's not too much to bear with, but it is amateur night, so as Lyndsay's already said, every question, any question, anything you want to clarify or you just want to check, but here come the basics. So what we always watch here on Poker Night Live is a variation of poker called Texas Hold'em.
No limit.
No limit is indeed what we tend to focus on here, and what you're going to see is that it's a game that ultimately every player will have 7 cards from which they make their best 5-card poker hand. Everybody starts off by getting 2 cards, which you can see right now on your screens. Those cards we can see, but of course they're hidden. You are the only person that gets to see your 2 cards. You then get something called the flop, which are 3 community cards that come down on the table.
There they are there.
That's followed by a 4th card called the turn and a 5th card called the river. There is a round of betting in between each of these rounds. And as you can see, this develops. So right now, everybody has 4, 6, 8, 3 to use along with the 2 cards in the hand. And by the time the river comes down, if indeed it does this particular round we're watching, that's everybody's 7 cards, and they pick their best 5. There's betting when you first get your whole cards, betting after the flop, after the turn, and after the river. And if you get to that stage, there is then a showdown, and the best hand takes the money.
Now, you don't often see all the cards come down, because you don't just win by having the best 5-card hand, you can actually win by making everybody else fold their cards.
Absolutely. There's 2 ways to win in Hold'em. You either get to the end of that hand and the showdown, you have the best hand, or you use betting as a way of pushing people off. And because we do focus on no limit, the big deal about no limit is, as the name would suggest, there is no limit to the amount that you can bet. So if the blinds here are at 25 cents and 50 cents, and we'll talk about the blinds in just a minute, but treat them as antes, the game you're playing is 25 cents, 50 cents. If you want to make a bet of $100, if you've got $100 in front of you, that's ultimately your choice to make. And that means that in No Limit, you can put a huge amount of pressure on people by really putting them to the test as to how gutsy they are and how much they believe in their hand. A very different game than if anybody's ever played Limit, where you can literally just make steps up of the specific increment. So No Limit has become very, very popular.
Yes.
All the big tournaments, all the big televised show you see, it's all No Limit, because everyone loves to slide all those chips in.
You can win big, but you can also lose big if you're not careful.
Absolutely, and you know we've seen it so often, haven't we? The chip leaders sit down and they get involved in one big hand where they've got, you know, could be anything. They've got a big straight and they don't realise that there's also a flush out there to be had, and they lose a load of chips. So it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot about not only knowing what your hand is, but knowing what your opponents could potentially have. And that's why Texas is so particularly popular, is because of that amount of information you have on the board. When those community cards come down, you don't just have to make a bet when you've hit a part of that. You can make a bet to represent it. If there's the flop comes down full of rubbish cards and then the turn's an ace, if nobody else bets at it, even if you have no part of that, you might just want to make a bet because people will go, well, there's an ace on the board, he could have it. So there's lots of posturing and representing.
A lot of it's about working out what your opponents have, trying to work out what they have, and they will be doing the same with you.
Absolutely, and you've got to, you know, that's where all this information, I mean, there's so much information, the way people bet. If you've been sitting on a table with somebody for an hour, you might know that a lot of the time when it gets to showdown, they've always got good cards. They're not somebody that plays lots of junk. Whereas there might be other players that you know just get jiggy with it. They chuck the money in there when they just fancy having a go at the pot. So, you know, there's a lot of information. It's not just about what cards have you got and how good are they. It's how good's the situation, and that might not even really, the cards might be a very small part of what makes the situation attractive and profitable to you.
That's one of the first lessons for our new players to learn. It is a situational game. What might be the right move in one particular hand could be completely the wrong move in another hand. It all depends on your opponents and the situation you're in.
Absolutely, and you know, a large bulk of the emails we tend to get is always, you know, how do I play Jack-Jack, how good's Jack-Jack, how good's Ace-9 suited, and it's, you know, cards have a strength, but that strength is reinforced by the situation. That might be your position. If you're late to act around the table, that works in your favour because you have much more information from your opponents about their actions. You know, if you're in an early position with rubbish hand, well then that's not good for you. If you're in a late position, if everybody checks round to you and there's no betting, all of a sudden your hand might have more strength than you would have appreciated. So there's a lot that goes into deciding what's a strong hand. It's not the hands, it's really the situations you find yourself in with those hands.
So it's a cash game, so we've got the blinds there at the top, 25 cent, 50 cent. Because it's a cash game, they stay like that throughout the game. Those blinds don't change, which is different to a tournament, but we'll have a look at a tournament later on. Yeah,
well, you'll see. I mean, as you say, we'll see it when we tune in some of the tournaments later on, but in a cash game, it's really about being patient, playing in situations that you know are mathematically profitable. There's no reason to get involved with any cards that you don't want to. In a tournament, there's a clock ticking, you're being bullied along. So you have to start making moves earlier than the cards might dictate, because otherwise you just get eaten away. But here in the cash games, it really is about spending the time to study your opponents, pick the hands and the positions you like to play in. That's why a lot of people like to play, you know, they like to play multiple tables when they're online, is because it makes it a lot easier to be disciplined. Because, you know, if you're sitting waiting for decent hands in a cash game, it can be a long grind. So a lot of people will play multiple tables so that they're not tempted to get involved with inferior hands. I mean, here you've got Ace-Jack for Potty Dotty in an early position. Hit a dream flop, got two pairs. But any bet is not likely to get called because the next person to play hadn't hit a hand. So that's a great example of where, wow, he's got an amazing hand, Ace-Jack, and it's turned into two pair. It's not really going to be very profitable.
Pays a lot, yeah. And
that's why it's, a two pair is fantastic. But had that been a four-way pot and somebody else had made a small pair or somebody had a pocket pair, you know, those are what we mean when we say you're really waiting for not only a great hand but a great situation.
Now, there's a maximum amount of money that you can actually sit down at this table with.
Yeah, what you will find is that the blinds, as well as the actually setting the pace of the game, which I'll speak about in a minute, not actually covered yet, it also dictates how much you can sit down with. So here, as the big blind is 50 cents, the minimum you can sit down with is $5, 10 times that blind, and the maximum is 100 times that, which is 50. So you can look round the table here, and obviously we've not been tuned in very long, so it's probably the wrong assumption to make, but you could easily look at the two R's and go, he probably sat down with $50 and he's made himself $6 and a bit profit. Probably the same for Potty. Whether you want to look at, I want to say that's grill, but it's actually 6 ril, around in the 9 o'clock position on the table. Whether they sat down with $50 and they've lost a fair chunk of it, or they could have sat down with 15. There's no rules about it, and some people like to sit down with the absolute maximum, and some people like to sit down around the minimum and see if they can build it up from there. So those are the rules. But just to come back to these blinds, you can see there that 6 ril, or grill.
It looks like grills, doesn't it?
It looks like grill to me. So you're grill tonight. Sorry if it's not. That little D is showing where the dealer position is. Now, obviously, no one here is the dealer because it's all run by the computers.
Yes.
It's
but
2006
that
technology.
symbolises the dealer.
Exactly, but that shows you who the dealer is. And the thing about that makes it important is because the person to the left of that position has to make a mandatory bet before they even get their cards. And that's the small blind, which is the 25 cents. The person next in sequence is the big blind, and they make the big bet, which is 50 cents. And this is a bit like in lots of traditional poker games. Everyone puts an ante in. Everyone puts in a certain amount just because they want to play.
Yeah.
Here, that actually rotates around the table, and it acts to get the action going, so that before you've even got your cards, you've made an investment, and the next person to act is already challenged by, if you want to play in this hand, it's going to be 50 cents to you, because otherwise everyone would just get their cards for free and they would really just be sitting there and no one would ever play anything other than aces, because why would you need to?
It puts some money in the pot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just gets things going. And so there's a whole bunch of strategies about, you know, if you're on the button, the other part of it is that obviously you can see how this clockwise sequence goes, is if you're on the button, you're the last to act, and that gives you a wealth of information about what your opponent's going to do. If you're first to act, you might want to limp in with a pair of 3s, and everyone behind you raises and re-raises it. So that's clearly the worst place to be. Whereas
we call that being in late position.
Yeah, whereas if you're in that late position, then it's fantastic, because you know exactly what everybody else has done. You might, from their actions, put them on a certain range of hands. But there's a load of strategy that comes into, if you're on the button, you also can sometimes just make a raise to steal those blinds. You know, depending on what limits you're playing, the blinds alone can be a big sum of money.
Yes.
And again, we don't tend to talk just about the money you have, the chips in front of you, but how many blinds they represent to you. So obviously, Huffer Bruce down there, he's going to last a lot less long as the 2 R's because he's only got $8. So the table needs to cycle 16 times before he's run out of money without even getting involved in anything other than the blinds.
Yeah.
So every time you steal a blind, you take a pot, you see that as allowing you the time it takes to actually increase that profit, and that's the way you step up and you step up and you step up. And that's rather nice for him, who's probably now going to regret that he's only got $4 left. Yes,
because it's no limit. If you had more, you could put more in.
Exactly, and as it goes, he still has the best of it by the river. There's 20 in the pot, which you can see at the top of the screen. So Huffer going all in. Jay's...
He's got the flush, did he?
No, do you know what? I didn't see that he made the straight on the river.
Oh, it was a straight?
Yeah, okay, well, there you go, actually. So I take it back. He must be very pleased he didn't have much more money. But sorry, up until the river there, he was in a situation where if he'd wanted to, and that's probably...
if you had more on the turn, you might have been able to push Jay off it and he wouldn't have actually hit the straight on the river.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is whenever you're playing against people, and people do play the cash games far more mathematically, is that you're trying to make decisions that make sense. So you know what the odds of making your straight are.
Yeah.
And you're hoping that you're getting better pot odds. So there, I think it was a bet of $4 into a $30 pot or something like that. So it's very hard for our guy in third seat to really scare Jay away.
Yeah.
Because he may as well sit there because it's so cheap to get lucky.
Enough, yeah.
He is ultimately relying on getting lucky. He's got a decent hand anyway, but he probably knows that he's beat. But it's so cheap for him to stay in it on the draw, and as it goes, he does hit it. So I missed that at the end. My mistake. I got a bit fixated on those 3-of-a-kind 9s for our boy.
I did as well.
Very kind enough to be the subject of our example that then completely went horribly wrong. But Dorothy gets in there with the best of it with Ace Queen. She's going to be looking to make some moves, but again, blinds aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. That's the percentage of hands played.
So Dorothy plays half the hands, 6 ril. you would say is probably pretty tight. If he's only playing 17% of the hands, he's clearly not somebody that's going to get involved with too much junk. But obviously the good thing about the statistics is the more hands you see, the more information you have about the players, the more valuable that statistic becomes. Because if I play 5 hands against one person, to make some sort of judgment about them based on that is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Some people might be having a mad half hour, or they might be not paying
Yeah,
much attention, and as a result, they're super, super tight.
You need to look at statistics like that over a long period of time, but
Yeah,
that's something new players can do, isn't it? When they start off playing, is to take notes and.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first tip really is actually, but rather than trying to constantly take notes about 8, 9 opponents or however many you're playing against, is take notes on yourself, because you can't change anybody else's game, but you can change your own.
Yeah.
And it's only when, I mean, it really depends how deep you want to go into it, but there's, there's some great software out there you can use, but also if you just keep a book on yourself, think about the hands that you get involved in where you suffer bad losses,
yeah.
hands where you think you could have made more profit out of it, because it's so important to go back and see where there are hands. I mean, Jack 10, Ace, I did this recently with a whole bunch of statistics, and you look back at how often do I play Ace Jack offsuit, and what sort of profit do I make over it, over, say the last 3 months, if I just want to pick this year so far, how often am I getting involved in pots with Ace Jack offsuit, and how often does it work out well for me? And you can very simply, just by keeping a pretty kind of basic book on yourself, just start to go, do you know what, I don't think I should play Ace Jack anymore.
It's not a profitable hand for you, after you've looked at it over a long period.
Or just say, do you know what, I've found out by looking at this that whenever I play Ace Jack in anything other than a late position, it loses me money. So that's my new rule. For the next 3 months, I'm going to never play Ace Jack unless the situation is favourable for me, and I'm in late position and I can take control of it and yada, 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 whatever it is. But you can't just sit and play poker and expect to improve, because that's just you being totally reliant on the cards getting better.
Yeah.
So you have to look at ways to improve your game as you go along. And to start off with, if you are a beginner, then you just need to get some experience under your belt. You just want to sit in games, get an inherent feel for what are good cards in what position and what are not.
So the more hands you play and the more observations you make as you're watching hands being played, even when you're not involved in that particular hand, you're watching those hands being played. It's all experience, isn't it, that you need to get under your belt. And once you've got that experience under your belt, it all helps you to improve. Yeah,
absolutely, because a lot of people, especially because of today, there's so much education from websites and TV shows and books. But I think it's very important that it's very hard to just read a book. Well, it's like anything. You wouldn't read any book on a given subject or skill and just expect that you've read the book and now I'm going to go and become a world-class footballer or whatever. The books are very great at filling your head with the raw maths, but you still actually need to feel. I always say this I can tell you how easily beaten a pair of twos are.
Yeah.
But it's only once you've gone, oh, pair of twos, and lost money.
And suffered.
that you start to go, do you know
Actually,
what?
yeah, I'm not going to play that again.
And it's just human nature, but very few people, just because, it's a bit like, parents with their kids, if I talk, that kettle's hot.
Yes.
Right, now do you believe me?
Yeah.
And
everybody has an individual style, don't they? So what might work for one person who's written a certain book could be completely different for somebody else.
Yeah, well, we see it all the time. We see it all the time on the games we play. Some people are very, very aggressive. Some people are very, very passive. Some people are very solid. Yada yada. And that's the truth. Is that whenever we get emails from people that say, "I've been playing this sort of game. Should I do this? Should I do that?" You never have to do anything in poker. There's never anybody that really has any right to say, you should go up a limit, you should try a pot limit, you should try a different game. The truth is, as long as you're enjoying your poker, which is something I think we never focus on enough, is you've got to be enjoying this.
Yeah.
You can't, this shouldn't be a job, this shouldn't be like a task and a real toil. It's got to be something that you enjoy. I think it's very hard to be super successful in poker without actually enjoying playing it. And I got a lot of time for people like Daniel Negreanu, who's like, I love, this work is fun for me. Has a lot of fun with it. A lot of people, they got their headphones on, they're locked in, they're just working out the maths and the probabilities. That's not my thing. But each to their own. But it's probably very hard to say, do you know, I'm intrigued by poker, I see it a lot on TV, I'm seeing it everywhere I go, I know lots of people. I think I'll read a book and become a poker player.
Yeah.
You've got to see hundreds of thousands of hands go by to really get that feel. And that's why, I mean, you know, shows like this, it's great, because here you can see all these hands shown face up, see how different people, and you will see, say, for the hell of picking a hand, Queen, King, or a pair of tens, you will see that come up a number of times tonight, but you will see it played in so many different ways.
In so many different situations.
Yeah, depending on the position, early position, in late position with a raise, in late position with a check, and you know, because that's the point, is that there's so many different variations of how these things can play out.
And because we're watching internet poker as well, you've seen so many more hands than you would be if you were watching a live game, because it's so much quicker.
Absolutely, yeah. It whistles by and everyone thinks, oh, you know, the internet is a very cruel place, but it's because you're seeing so many hands in the space of an hour.
Fast and furious.
It's something like, I think it's about 3 or 4 to 1, as in how many hands you'll get through in this as you would at a table in a card room. But that's the truth. It's like bang, 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 bang. As the ticker times down.
Yes, you're
it
on,
says,
you're
look,
on a
do you
time
want it or
limit.
not? It's $2.50.
You see that little bar come up there? That's the time you've got to make your decision in.
And it's another great bit of advice for anybody that's been playing for a while online that fancies playing live. Don't panic. You know, if you're used to playing online, you're used to that ticker going down and down, down. People get into a live game and they're going, like, do you know what? Unless somebody actually starts complaining, or you're in a specific, you know, time tournament, take your time. It's quite funny to see when you get to one of these big tournaments I've been out to in Europe, and you see all the guys that are internet qualifiers.
Yeah.
They move so quickly and they're all in every other hand because they're used to the pace of the online tournaments. But here we go. Look, this is a hand. I promised you we'd see it. Pocket tens versus Queen, King.
And a pair of queens there
Pair of queens as well, and a couple of aces out there. So 10 decides to double it up. Not double it up, 3 times the blind, should I say, which is something we always talk about as far as making a bet that is significant. One of the key things about making a raise is that it needs to be significant enough to actually sell a story. And this is nice because tens has made it 3 times the blind. Queens has said, I think my hand's actually worth a bit more money than that. And King, Queen suited is kind of called just to get involved, but hasn't hit any part of the flop. Queens thinks I'm still ahead, quite rightly so. Tens is probably still believing that he's got a hand worth fighting with, but has slowed down, which is good. You need to pay attention to people's betting, which is something we just said. The fact that Potty Dotty is under the gun, chooses to bet, makes you think, oh, probably got a hand.
Yes.
And now Potty's thought, I don't know if I'm going to make much more money out of this guy, so I'm going to slow right down. And all of a sudden, Potty Dotty has got 2 pairs on the board, 5s and 9s, and could potentially be worried about having run into ace-9 and somebody's got 3 of a kind. But there's $11 in the pot. $6 is the bet from Potty. Fox hands it over.
There you go. Well, we're going to leave that cash game for just a bit, Mark, because I've got the emails coming through thick and fast. We're giving you a lot of information there, so if you are a new player, don't be afraid to ask. That's what we want. We want you to get in touch. If you'd like to text us, 84222 is our text number. Just put the word poker at the start of your message, or you can email. Oh, that's the text number for you, 84222. And make sure you put the word poker on there, or email. There it is, poker@pokernightllive.co.uk. I've had one through from Nicky Jim and Benji Boy, who says, hey up Matt and Lyndsay, looking good. Matt funny as ever. Lyndsay looking hot, hot, hot. Ooh, thank you.
Are they asking for money or something? Because there's far too many compliments for one paragraph.
Yeah. It says, I hope you remember us, Matt. You advised us to stick to a $200 target before entering $10 tourneys. We've changed our theory and now play 2.75, finish in the money, then go to a $5 tourney and then up to a $10. If we finish out of the money, then we go down a level. Our bankroll has now gone from $40 to $148 in days. Brilliant. And he says, do you think this is a good play? We also find we get a better game in the higher money tourneys, but never move past $10. Our question is, should we be suspicious of callers? Because when we play, we either fold or raise a hand and hardly ever call. What is your opinion of a caller, and is there a time and place to call ourselves? We played in our first $10 tourney tonight and finished second, won $30, big smile. And he says, keep up the good work. That's Nicky, Jim and Benji boy. Thank you for your email and well done on that win.
Yeah, and I do remember them. There was an email that came in, and what we were discussing was at what stage, if you're enjoying success in your $2 tournaments, at what stage do you move up? And it's something everyone always warns about, is not moving up a level too fast, because you could spend a month on the $2 tables and you build up a different bankroll. You only need to have one bad session at the $10 and that's all gone again. And I can't remember what they'd set themselves, but they'd set themselves, we're going to get to this level before we move up. We've moved up. Now what's the next level? And we'd said, I think, play in the $5 or $10 tournaments until you've got 200 in your bankroll, then move up. I like this idea about you finish first, you move up a level, you finish first, you move up.
And if you don't move down,
you drop back down. I think that's a really good way to manage it yourself, and it's quite a lot of fun, which I've just sort of tried to advocate is something that people need to do more of in poker. As far as saying about being suspicious of callers, as I think you're mostly playing tournaments here, the truth is use that as a way of finding out what sort of hands, people that call, what sort of hands have they got. If they think they've got you beat, they're probably going to come back at you with a raise. If they think you've got them beat, why would they keep calling? Because they're probably on small pairs and they're hoping it improves. People that call are people generally that have worked out they're getting good pot odds to develop a draw. So if there's a potential straight down, if there's a potential flush down, that's what you need to just flag in your mind. You make a good bet, somebody calls, does the next card that comes down do anything to the draw of the flush or straight? And that's what needs to ring alarm bells, because if all of a sudden, I don't know, a third club comes down and that person starts no longer calling but raising, you've got to see that as a signal. Maybe that's, you know, some deliberate double bluff, but most of the time people play fairly honestly in these sort of things. It's a real good technique to play a game in which you don't allow yourself to call. Your only actions are you've either got to raise it or you've got to fold it, and it makes you very, very honest about the strength of your hands, because too many people do tend to limp in. It's a good ploy to try at the early stages of a tournament when the blinds are cheap, and you can play a few more speculative hands as long as you let them go if you don't hit. But the truth is, considering you're doing so well in such a short space of time, I think you've probably got it nailed. Do be wary of callers, because they're probably on the draw, and if you see the ball develop into something that could have really improved somebody else's hand, be aware. But I'm not going to make any complaints, because you're doing better than me. Anyone that watched me and the Beat the Presenter, I really am no longer somebody that can say too much about progress.
Don't put yourself down.
But other than that, it's very good to hear from you, and I did say please keep in touch and keep us informed. So it's great that you've got in touch. Again, when you get to the next level, keep us informed as you go along. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, well done, and thanks for being so nice, boys. Thank you very much. If you want Matt to answer your question, remember 84222 is the text, and the email is poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Right, I think I've got a bit of an MTT for you.
Ooh, okay, let's go and have a see.
A multi-table tournament.
Well,
Look what we've come into. We've got the nut flush there. We've walked straight into a massive hand. Look at this.
Shelby has flopped the nuts. Fast Bandit is on the draw for the straight.
So is Grok.
We've also got the straight flush draw. Yeah, there's some stuff going on here. Okay.
Yeah, Balgrog's got this. Could get the straight flush. Oh, and he's got it.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, Shelby could really be in trouble. Shelby there was making a small bet, and I wasn't sure if it was to limp in and try and get value, or whether Shelby's actually going, I don't know about
trying
this.
to... well, we'll find out now, won't we, if that was...
There's 360 in the pot, so everyone was betting big before. Well, Borog's going to probably double that.
No, he's all in.
All in, all right. Triples it. Shelby. Well, amazed that Shelby gets away from that.
Quite hard, wasn't it, for her to do anything about that?
Look at that. That's
sitting there with the nut flush.
Yeah, and two, if there are anybody watching that's new to poker, don't expect that to happen too often.
Yes.
I'm still waiting for my first ever royal flush, frankly, after nearly 9 years.
It's a really good hand to start with for MTT. I'll just give you a bit of background
What
info.
can you tell us?
I can tell you. It's our PNL Private Members League tournament. It's $5.50 to buy in. Rebuys at $5.50 for the first hour, and then there's an additional add-on. Sorry, the rebuys are $2.20 for the first hour. I got that wrong. Then there's an additional add-on at the end of the first hour. So it's the PNL Private Members League. All our Regular viewers, 46 runners. There's 112,500 chips in play at the moment. And what we're going to do is we'll announce the prizes after the rebuy period, because of course the prizes will change with the rebuy depending on how many rebuys there are, because that all goes into the pot.
Absolutely, and obviously it depends if you've got lots of maniacs,
yes,
which can happen in the rebuys. Is there are people that just think, well, I am prepared to just go bonkers,
yeah,
because if I manage to get in a three-way pot, everyone else is going bonkers, there's loads of chips in. If you pick that up, then that can stand you in really good chip stead for the rest of the tournament, and then you can sit back and watch everyone else fight it out.
yeah.
But I've been on some live rebuys, not necessarily online ones, but lots of live games where there's always somebody that's just wants to keep going crazy, crazy, crazy. And that can work out good for you. A lot of people hate it. And just
but it's all money into the prize pool, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah, and if you're in a multi-table rebuy tournament, if say there's 6 tables, if your table features a couple of people that are putting lots and lots of money into the game, that means that they're constantly bringing more chips to that table.
Yeah.
So when the tables, imagining that you do well and you go on to survive longer into the tournament, when those tables start to break down, everybody that started off on your table has the potential to move to the next table with just more chips, because you've had some guys that have been loading up. Hopefully it's not you that's been loading up the table, but if most people has on average 40,000 chips and yours is a table that's got 90,000 chips, brilliant, because everyone's going to take a share of that to the next stage, and it can work in your favour.
So the best way to go into these tournaments is not to have the attitude that you're going to rebuy. You want to go in, accumulate as many chips as you can, without getting to the point where you have to rebuy, and then let everyone else put that extra money in.
Absolutely. I mean, the truth is, it's something that you decide. It's something you've got to decide how you want to play. I find with the multi-tables, wow, this is quite nice. This is going to be painful, but Beth's up there in seat 1, even in Fast Bandit. She knows that she could be in trouble here, and that raise is such a flag-waving moment. I mean,
hopefully we'll be able to get away.
It's going to be hard to let it go, but it'd be great if she does.
Oh, no, couldn't do it.
Oh, yay. And now lets it go. Would have been easier to let it go then.
Yeah, Balrog gave her a bit of a sign there when he made that big bet that he had something pretty strong.
But of course that's the beauty, is that we can see his cards, so we know that he's making that move because he's actually got it. But because there's such a scary board, we'll probably see a million other players make that move where they don't have the goods, they just realise that they could here potentially steal it. So it is hard to let go of pocket kings.
So this is another table. I think Buffy would be good at the bottom there as our chip leader.
Indeed. And sorry, just to finish what I was saying with the rebuys, I think that's the thing, is you've got to go into those sort of tournaments either committed to spending some money, or if you're going to be super tight, the problem is you are going to have far better cards come your way, because you will find people...
You'll get called. Even if you've got a great hand and you push all in, you're going to get called because people know they can rebuy.
Exactly. People will call you with 8-9. You've been waiting for your ace-king suited. Somebody will call you with 5-7 off because they got 2 live cards.
And you could get outdrawn.
If they die, they buy back in. If they win, ka-ching. So it's very different in the rebuy tournaments. A lot of people don't like them.
It's hard to work out how to play them, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I just tend to find you've got to stick to your game, but you've got to realise that, well, the same option exists for you, and I've made some calls that normally I probably wouldn't in my game, but I know that I can rebuy in. But the truth of it is, it's different. If we show the freeze outs where it's $10 buy-in, that's it. You know exactly how much that tournament's going to cost you. Because if you're going to play in rebuys, you probably need to come down. If you're used to playing the $10, you probably want to be playing in $2 rebuys.
Yeah.
Because that's going to become a $10 tournament very quickly for you anyway. So you just need to moderate that into your bankroll management. Otherwise you say, well, I always play $10 tournaments. Before you know it, that tournament actually costs you $40.
Yeah.
And if you don't cash in, you're like, oh, hang on a minute. So... well, Stanters, there's a few names down here. Buffy Be Good, we saw last night. Stanters won himself a pair of dark glasses.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to mention the dark glasses.
I thought you were going to say a few $100s out.
No, I'm having flashbacks.
Pair of glasses, oh well.
Cyborg flashback. But Stanters, we had a joke competition. Again, I'm not going to mention it, it's just bring me down. Stanters, well done, mate. You got your glasses, but welcome to King Queen. We talked about King Queen?
Yes.
There she blows.
Right, so we're going to go through the matrix to another table as we start 46 runners, or
46?
yeah.
Mutts nuts, bring it home on the button. Albus Forks. Poostache, which Michelle had a lot of fun saying over and over the other night.
I'll be careful.
So we can see there, Poostache actually does have a fair pile of chips, not as many as Crimson, but King 5 suited in the face of that raise. Again, now that's an interesting move. I normally would think that King 5 suited, yeah, in light of some action and some raises.
Yeah.
Interesting to know whether that's a call because it's a read by, but Poost has already got himself a decent enough chip lead that right now you don't need to be playing crazy. Somebody like Mutts is probably still in that mental zone where I'm just going to make moves because I can rebuy. Because right now, I don't know, did you say what the starting stack was? What did everybody start with? I don't know, probably 12 or 15?
1500 it was, yeah.
Okay, so that's the thing is for Mutts, he's not really moved forward, he's not really moved backwards. So if some sort of hand came up where he can make a move, that might be worth investing in because you can see already here the way the chips are distributed. Clearly other players have started making moves.
Yeah.
And you do find in the rebuys you get to a point which is probably not quite 100% your stack again, but if this started at 1500, you probably get to about 2.5 where you think, okay, this is good enough for me now to actually try and settle down and live off this. Certainly for somebody like Crimson, once you reach the end of that rebuy period, he's going to be, you know, in good condition to carry on.
Lower than that, people are going to be in trouble if they.
Yeah, well, it's just obviously they're at a disadvantage. So sometimes.
And of course, the blinds are going up all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes, you know, it is the rebuy. It seems like a very small part of the game. It's like it's just the money.
Yeah.
But actually, it does change the way people play. It changes the strategy and the hands you have to accept to make moves with. Because we always say, you know, that's the danger of tournaments, is you've got this added pressure of hat, coat, going home. Here you have this little kind of purgatory area where you can buy back in. Pocket rockets.
Hey, hey.
And the beauty is, again, we talk about situations, but Kajomi has decided to make a move here on the button. Compared to a pair of hands that really the aces, if aces there could have seen the other player's hands, they'd be going, oh, I'm never going to get paid off here. The jack, sorry, the 7-10, I'm going to suggest he's playing it to get lucky and hasn't done so, and now he's going to let it go. But that's what I mean about the rebuys. People will play something. I mean,
that they'd never normally play.
To make a move on the button is one thing. Tough luck, you've run into aces, so that's not going to work. But to then have had that re-raise back from the aces and still continue, it's clearly somebody that wants to see a flop and wants to hit something and get lucky. It actually was lucky that he didn't, because had he hit a 10 or something, it probably would have just
it would have cost him even more, Tell you about this match, something very exciting. Sunday nights are Dream Poker Night on Poker Night Live, and we're going to actually show the Poker Bowl qualifiers. The qualifiers and semi-final are happening on dreampoker.com every Sunday at 8 o'clock. That's from the 9th of April. So the first 5 weeks we're going to be showing the qualifiers. It's $10 plus $1 to buy in at that. The rebuys set at $5 and 50 cents. Then week 6, it's a semi-final, which is a freeze-out. And the final, we're going to show the final, which is going to be filmed in the Poker Bowl studio on a date which will be confirmed later on. So it's really good. We're going to be showing that. Great fun. We've got all the details on that in the forum on our website. That's www.pokernightlive.co.uk. Loads of PNL viewers have already said they're going to be taking part, so that's great. It's a really good opportunity for our players to be seen at a professional level across the 2 disciplines of live and online play. And it'll be a bit of a test for all the PNL players, I think. Yeah, I think it's great. It's a bit like, you know, it's been nice because some of these guys we've been watching and commenting on for, you know, for ages and ages, and it's a bit like now in the Beat the Presenter, which obviously is coming up fairly shortly. We actually finally been able to chat to some of these guys, and the forums, you know, very lively, always very lively. To actually get some of these guys into a live situation in the final is going to be fantastic. And meet them face to face. Exactly, fisticuffs on the cards. So nice to put a face to some of the names.
Yeah, definitely. No, we watched that yesterday night, myself and Barry. It was quite good and interesting. Again, different kind of game in the same way that we say the rebuy becomes a very different game. That game we watched, everyone that gets into the top 10 goes through. Yeah. And that's the difference, is normally in a tournament, not only are you trying to get down into the money, so imagine that top 10 is the bubble, that's the money. You don't just want to get into it, you want to get into it with chips that will see you through to stand a chance of winning. Whereas, of course, in this, you've just got to get into the top 10. So whether you get into the top 10 with $1 million or get into the top 10 with 6, you're through to what you care about. Yeah. And it's quite interesting to see the different way that the big hands people lay down because they know that they can cruise in. Always good. You know, a few different types of poker to pick up. Mutt's Nuts has got the draw to the nuts here with the Ace Queen of Hearts. Jerome is going to invest in this because he's got the 3 of a kind. Puts 200 into 1,000 pot, which is just really not enough to do too much. Ace 4, Poo Stash on the button. He's got a small part of that, and good on you for throwing it away. Mutts, Jerome can make a bigger bet than 200 here. This needs to be, well, it's not going to get paid off. So the thing is, the reason I say make more of a bet is that it's unlikely he's going to get paid off. And if he does, it's because Mutts won't believe him. And if Mutts doesn't believe him, Mutts is probably going to pay more than that.
Yes.
So I just think with 1,200 in the pot, probably could have squeezed a couple more hundred out of him. But he wins the pot. I'm not going to complain. Again, if you've seen.
But when you've got a hand as good as that, you should be trying to squeeze as much out of it as you can.
Yeah, because he knows now that he very likely does have the nuts, considering that Mutt's Nuts was just calling everything he did. So it's like, again, you know, we had the question from our couple that Nicky, Jack and Johnny, Donny. Nicky Boy and Johnny
Nicky, Jim and Benji Boy.
That's it. It sounds like about 8 people in that. But they're saying, you know, should we be worried about callers? And there was Mutt's Nuts just proving the point, which is people calling have got something that is potentially a great hand, but they need more cards. They need more cards. And as soon as someone's in a draw, unless you feel lucky, punk, and you want to let them keep taking cards to keep them financing you. Yeah. The thing is, you're going to start off with a dream hand like your Trip Kings. You keep letting them get in for a couple of hundred. Yeah. Bang, they'll hit their heart, and all of a sudden that pot that was yours right until the end, you know, make a bit of a bigger bet than, I don't know, maybe he wanted them in the pot. Maybe he wanted them to keep putting money in there, but it's a dangerous way to play. And there's the draw for Ram. He needs an ace or a 9. 2 pair for Froggy. The Queen for Mr. Perfect, which is probably, easy to let go. And another draw.
He's not hit it.
Easily let go. Well, again, Ram, somebody happy to finance to chase. And now he's thinking, oh, I can steal this. I think his timing's off. Froggy Boy's not going to let this go. Unless he's just trying to use, I think their Ram was trying to use that final spade as a lever to sell the story to Froggy that I've got you beat. Yeah. But Froggy's not going to let go of 2 pair, I would say. And didn't.
And he didn't, yeah.
And we can see a fair difference in chips here. We've got Ram up over 5,000. And do you know what, my eyesight's failing me? Is that Tatty Boogle Boggle Tatler?
Tatty Bogle.
Tatty Bogle. Sorry,
whatever it means.
Sorry,
Tatty.
No
idea. Tatties are potatoes in Newcastle.
Tatty, mince and tatties.
Tatties, Johnson tatties for your dinner.
We are. Oh, we're going to go into that, James.
Not that I would speak like that, of course.
No, I know you actually. You put this accent on, didn't you, for the boys?
That's what my mum says if she ever sees me on here. She says, "Well, you talk ever so poor. You don't normally talk like that."
Oh, you do sound so southern these days. Well, Tatty, Taterface has gone in. Decided that his 7s are good enough. He has been rewarded by the Lord of Poker with another 7.
Yes.
Panamancrill's going to sort of really need to see a club, mate, or you could be a little bit in trouble. Is Tatty going to... See, Tatty needs to make it expensive here. Okay, it's 600. Because again, the 3 of a kind's great, but if another club comes down, and that's the difference between that hand and the last hand, is if you want to get rid of someone and you're going to bet, then make sure that you bet enough to get rid of them. To say, 1,200 in the pot, I don't want this guy anymore, 100, nah.
Has to be enough.
It's not enough, it's not enough. So, if, you know, when you're betting, decide what you want to do and then actually, like, make an amount that makes sense.
Yeah. Good advice. I'll get some emails for you, Matt, if that's okay.
I'd love that.
Steve, NWO Steve, says, hi guys, great show. Just had pocket aces cracked again in a sit and go, and it got me thinking. I always find it hard to see what could be beating you if you don't hit trips on the flop. Obviously, if three of the same suit come down, or 3 in a row, the possibilities are there. But anything else I find hard. What do you think?
Well, this is where we always talk about following the action. You see on telly, all the televised stuff, you know, somebody goes into the tank, and what you're doing is you're trying to play out the hand and the betting, and you should always be trying to put your opponents on a range of hands. So I guess the question is, when you get those aces, are you slow playing it because you want to maximise this great hand, or are you betting with it? Because a lot of people will make the mistake of slow playing aces. And the problem you've got is, if you've got pocket aces, if you're up against 10 people, you're only going to win that about 3 out of 10. If you're up against one person, then you're going to win 4 out of 5 times. Of course, the difference is, up against one person, you're only going to get their money. Up against 10 people, there's lots of money to be had. So you've got to decide how you like to play aces. Because if in this instance you've made a bet with aces, if there were 8 people in the hand, you bet, and only 2 of them came with you. Well, what sort of cards might they hold that's going to call that bet? You put them on another pair themselves, on ace 10, ace jack. This is where also your knowledge of those people as players and how long historically you've played with them goes. That's when you've got to combine what comes down on the flop with what you know about them. Because if you make a big bet, they call. The flop comes down 2, 4, blank. You're thinking, so do I need to be scared about the straight? Would somebody have played 5, 6 in the face of my raise? Would they have played a pair of 2s? You're really just trying to match up the information you have. A lot of the time, you run somebody that just calls you and they get lucky. You are dead. But that's why you just need to make sure you at least try and thin the field, unless you want to play that game where you let everybody in. They could all potentially outdraw you, but you'll make more money on those occasions you do win. As far as not seeing what's there, stare at the board, take your time and think about what you could possibly up against. But ultimately, it's also about experience. The more hands with aces, the more often you'll see what sort of people are going to play back at you depending on your bet.
But yet again, all on the situation.
Yeah, you run into a maniac, or you run into a miracle flop for somebody else who was playing ace-3 suited because they didn't want to let go of their ace and they've hit the flush. Very hard to see that, but pay attention to the betting. Too many people get attached to aces. It's a pair, but it is just a pair. Anybody with 3 of a kind, the straight, it's all going to knock you out of the water. So if somebody starts betting back at you, sometimes you've got to let go of aces.
There you go. Hope that's helped you, Steve. Ian D has been in touch. Ian, I think one of our new players, says, I'm going to start playing online, but I'm unsure how much it costs to play.
Oh, well, it costs you exactly what you want to play.
That's the beauty of the internet.
Absolutely. And in fact, if you want to play online, it doesn't necessarily have to cost you anything, because you will find that pretty much all the sites offer play tables. And this is a great place, not necessarily to sample the very best in, like, poker, but as far as getting used to the mechanics, the way the buttons, the sliders, the sequence works. It's a fantastic place to go, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm thinking about taking the plunge and playing online. Just play on the play tables. And when you do want to move up, whether you're playing for sit-and-go tournaments or in cash games, you will find really small limits. You'll find 1 cent, 2 cent limit cash games, or you'll find a $2 sit-and-go. So you really don't have to have a huge bankroll to play online, and it's probably inadvisable. So the truth is, take the time to look around the lobbies, find out what your options are, and then go in at a level that's comfortable for you. But
that's the thing, isn't it? Just looking around the sites, because once you start delving into them, you realise how many different games there are at all sorts of different levels, and, and you can find, you pretty much on any site you can find one that you're comfortable with. Yeah, well, since it's become such big business now, the variety out there is just fantastic. It used to be that I would recommend certain sites because they would do specific tournaments, and other sites specialise in something else. Now, the variety from every single site you go to, they're all in competition with each other. And the good news for us as players is it means wherever you want to go, you'll probably find the game that suits you. So yeah, do shop around, as they say. And you can play it at really small stakes until you're comfortable, and then move up. Well, like our friends that rang in before. It's just a case of, you know, when you're ready to move up, you move up. There's no pressure on you. You will find a game at whatever level you fancy playing. So there you go. I hope that's helped you out, and good luck when you do start playing. If you've got a question, 84222 is our text number. Put the word poker at the start of your message, or you can email poker at pokernightlive.co.uk. We'll get some more after the break. We're going to take a short break. But when we come back, I'm going to be playing on the Beat the Presenter tournament, and Matt will continue to commentate throughout the games, and then at midnight we'll be watching my game back. Now the pressure's on tonight, isn't that right?
It is, not for me, but for you. 2 in a row, 2 cashes in a row.
You know I'm probably going to be the first one out, but we'll be doing that after the break. But before that, we're going to speak to a lovely gentleman in Ireland, and his name is Mike Lacey. Look at that, I love it, I love it. New graphics.
It's very swanky.
It's very flash. Hi Mike, are you there?
Hi Lyndsay, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now you're full of the flu, so we will be gentle with you tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Now you've been spending some time at the Irish Open.
I did, it was last weekend, there was 4 days of poker fun. Unfortunately, it didn't last too long for me, but it was a good weekend for some people.
And how long is not too long?
I think I lasted 3.5 hours.
Well, 3.5 hours more than most.
That's right, there was nearly 100 people gone by the time I went out, so it wasn't that bad.
How many entries were there in total?
It ended up, there was 339.
Okay, and do you want to use this as therapy? Do you want to share with us whatever the hideous bad beat was that you went out of the tournament on?
It wasn't on a bad beat for a change. I just kept hitting flops slightly smaller than everybody else did.
So there wasn't some disastrous thing which sent you out. It was just not your day.
My disastrous play. I lost most of my chips to a Scotsman, Tony Kessa, who's normally at it, but unfortunately he wasn't the time I was in a pot with him.
And what did you learn about yourself in this tournament? What are you going to take to the next Irish Open?
Nothing really. It was a situation where 9 times out of 10 I would have been miles ahead, especially against Tony, but this time I wasn't. So.
And what about the tournament in general? What was the atmosphere like?
There was a brilliant atmosphere. It was held over Easter weekend. There was plenty of side action for the players to get involved in when they weren't in the main tournament. Everything was brand new. It was the first time the sponsor had done this tournament, so it was very, very well run. Live on TV as well, the final table. So.
And what about the other players? Did anyone in particular stand out?
It was really a table of unknowns. The only player who really anybody had heard of at the final table was Ian Woodley, a player from the UK. He ended up finishing second. The winner was a guy called Vincent Malin, and the only other live tournament he played was the World Series last year, and he went out the first hand he played there. So
this might catapult him onto the world stage, maybe?
You never know. Apparently he plays quite high stakes online, but this was just his second live tournament, so he also backed himself at €250 at 300 to 1 or something.
That's not a nice little bonus on top of anything that happens. And
That's right.
There was a lot made about Mike Carrow being there. Were there any other sort of, what we would consider big poker names at the event?
Yeah, there was. There was Julian Gardner was there. I don't think he lasted that long either. There was also Julian Pugh, Mickey Wernick made it into the money as well. There wasn't any big American names because they were all over waiting for the Bellagio to start. The only Hendon Mob guy was Joe Beavers. The rest of them were playing in the Bellagio event. But there was still plenty of good poker players there to make it a competition.
Yeah. Was there a lot of sort of just spectators there? A lot of new players who just went along to see what the whole poker world is all about?
Yeah, the room was buzzing all the time. Anybody was allowed in. There was free drinks for all the players and spectators all day long. There was plenty of stands for them to get interested in. There was PCs they could play online. There was plenty for everybody, and there was a lot of new players there. There was a lot of qualifiers over here, and there was a lot of online qualifiers as well. So the guy that finished third qualified for €200 in a tournament I ran.
And what was the atmosphere like? I know the Irish are renowned for their party antics. Was there a bit of a party going on there?
Oh, there definitely was. The bar was always full. The usual faces could be seen there. Nobody ever goes home for a poker tournament in Ireland disappointed, even if they've lost money. So.
And do you think that might be the underlying reason why you went out so early? Was it too many pints of Guinness?
Unfortunately not, because when I'm not playing, I'm reporting on the site for my website, so it really didn't make that much difference to me, but it's just one of those days.
And any
The
plan?
cash games were good to me afterwards, so I can't complain.
Oh well, as long as you did all right at something, and in a word, do you think you'll be going back next year?
I'll definitely be there next year.
Oh, so it hasn't hit you too hard. Well, thanks very much, Mike. Lacey, we're going to take a short break, but we will be talking to Mike a bit later on and finding out all about his website.
Hello there, welcome back to Poker Night Live. Matt and Lyndsay with you tonight, but Lyndsay can't come to the phone right now because she's busy beating our viewers or being beaten by them, one of the two.
I wouldn't go that far.
So, as we mentioned, Lyndsay is in the Beat the Presenter section right now, taking on the outside world. We'll come back after our break at midnight and see how she actually gets on. We won't spoil it for you until then. But meantime, we have lots of action to show you, some sit and go, some cash games. We've also got lots of emails coming in. Thanks very much, folks. It's all down to you to make the show, so please do get in touch with us. Any way you want to do that is text or emails. Here's the text number, 84222. You must start your message with the word poker, and then your question or query or point of view, and please also let us know your name so we know who we're talking to, or you can email us here. And there's the address on your screens, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. As we mentioned, tonight is designated an amateur night, so by all means, the silliest question you can think of, if there's something that you're really not sure on, please feel free to send them in to us. We really don't mind, we'll take anything. And in fact, we're just going to very quickly take an email before we go down to a game. And this one comes from Mark. Thanks very much for email, Mark. He says, I recently played in a tourney where some real nutty player decided to bully an extreme level. He has one hand in particular. I flopped 2 pair and checked it down to the river. Fair dues to try and induce a bluff out of someone, I'm sure. And actually on the river he hit his full house. After the river, I guessed correctly this guy would try and go all in. So I checked, and yes, he did go all in. But ever since, nobody seems to fall for this little trick. How can you predict these internet tells? Well, the truth is, the good news means that people are paying attention, and that can work against you and for you. So the problem you've got now is that when you check, people are going to be suspicious, and you're probably not going to be able to lay out any big traps like that and find people will bet into you as a bluff. But the beauty is you can turn that on its head. If you get away with that once, and what I'm guessing there is the fact that you call, so the cards come out in the showdown, they see that you were the guy who flopped 2 pairs and was brave enough to check it all the way down and cashed in at the end. But of course that means that now you can use that. So if you actually get rags and you genuinely are checking it, if it gets down to the river and you make a move, you might twig off that little bell in people's brains that says, isn't that the guy that did that before and had the full house? So it's about you being aware of who's paying attention, but also being aware of what your table image is. So right now, if they think you're the tricky guy, you might be able to actually lean on that a bit more in situations where you don't have a monster hand, and they'll still be thinking, yeah, but we saw that other guy get clonked out earlier on. So that's the way to play that sort of situation, to be honest. Be aware of what they think about you and try and maximise that situation. Going to pick up another quick one as well. This comes from Andy, who says, hi Lyndsay and Matt. Can't interrupt Lyndsay, she's busy. I've been playing poker for about a month now and have a question about playing quads. What a great question. I've always worried about quads. They happen to me so often. Oh, isn't it tricky? Recently I was playing in a 25-cent cash game. I was the small blind and got dealt a pair of 2s. When it was my turn to bet, the pot was unraised, so I called. Fair dues. Like I always say, if you can get in cheap with something like that, why not? You never know what will happen. Bang, the flop is the 2 of clubs, 5 of spades, 2 of diamonds, giving him quads. I was the first to bet and was uncertain how to play, so I made a half the pot size bet, 50 cents, which was called by the big blind and the button. The turn was the queen of spades. I made another 50-cent bet and was again called by the big blind and the button. The river was the ace of clubs. I made a $2 bet, the big blind folded and the button called, and I won. I was left with the feeling that I did not play this hand very well. How could I have played this hand better? The problem you've got there is that, again, if people are paying attention, the fact that you're in the small blind, you're allowed to limp in. So, again, coming back to something I said earlier, which is that you want to constantly be taking people's actions and using that to put them on a range of hands. Somebody that limps in on the small blind, to me, is going to have a random hand. It could be anything. So, whereas if there'd been lots of raising and betting before the flop, when the flop comes down 2-5-2, the last thing I'm going to suspect is that anyone came all that way with all that betting with a pair of 2s or even a single 2 in their hand. The fact that everyone's limped in, the horrible thing about being involved in a pot where everyone's in on the cheap, you really don't know anything about those guys. the truth there is that you're betting out a position. Do you slow play it and try and get some more value? The board ultimately doesn't have any flushes or draws or anything like that, so you're unlikely to probably make much more money than you did. You did the right thing by betting out, and you're lucky enough to bump into some guys that make some hands. It's a shame you don't get any showdowns because you don't even know what they had. Were they chasing the ace? The fact that everyone gets out by the end of it, they clearly smell something just like wrong, or they didn't make the hands they're looking for. The end of your question says, would the same hand be played differently in a tournament? I would suggest that you're unlikely to be able to limp in so much with the tournament. And also, you might decide you want to play a pair of twos differently, because a pair of twos is ultimately a hand. It's a pair. It's not going to be a pair for very long. But in the small blind, you might actually fancy sometimes making a raise, and you might find that you just win it there and then. And even though you go on to make quads in this particular instance, that ain't going to happen a lot of the time for you playing your twos. So, in the truth of it, if you hit quads in a tournament or a cash game, it's all good. The difference is in a tournament, if you're in a later stage, you might find that there was more blinds, it's more expensive. You might find it was expensive enough that you wouldn't want to limp in with twos in the first place. But at the end of the day, anything that involves hitting quads is never going to be a bad story. So thanks very much for your email. Hope that helps. Other than that, we're going to jump down into one of our sit and goes, and we're going to pick up a $5 single table sit and go. So here we are, just, well, first hand. 10-20 is the blinds. We got some names down here. Giolda, who was on here last night. You are joking. I do like a good poker name. So this is in answer to the question we had from someone a little while ago talking about how expensive. These tables are freeze-out tournaments, which means that whatever you pay to enter, that's it. And this is also good if ever you're thinking about doing a home game and you want to think about what's the best way to run it, as Giolda picks up kings in the cutoff, just decides to limp in here. Robbie with his king-jack has made a 3 times the big blind bet, which is kind of formulaic way of making a raise. Giolda could going to think about this little bit of Hollywood, not so sure, probably just going to call it. No, okay. I would have liked there, a nice thing to do, if somebody raises into you, have a think about it and then call, because you've got position here. He is now going to be last to act for all the following rounds. By making that re-raise, Robbie's not hit anything. Now he has, which is great news for Alder, as long as it doesn't improve. Robbie's going to make the 60 bet that he started off with. G going to just call it and continue to trap? Nope. Robbie really needs to see the signs. G's probably going to make a bet here just to see if he can get any more value, because Robbie really not. I've only paid him off. You know, we talk about betting being a way of asking questions, and if you're going to ask questions, similarly, you've got to have your ears open. Have your betting ears open, because when you make a move, somebody makes a move back, are they just the ballsiest player you've ever met and they're going to really make a load of moves on you? Or actually, do they have a hand and then you look back at your hand and go, King, Jack, okay, what's beating King, Jack, King, Queen, King, Ace, any pair, etc., etc. The 8's coming down in the flop. I don't think Giolda was likely to have come back with a re-raise holding on to 8s. Ace-8 suited, still not entirely sure that somebody is going to come back over the top of you. So you've got to put him on a hand of strength, and you've got to watch out, because now Robbie, only a few hands into the game, finds himself with half his starting stack. Everyone gets 1,000 here. It's a $10 freeze out. That's all you're going to pay. And I interrupted myself before about saying that's a good way to play home games. If you want to start getting into playing at home, make them freeze outs. If you want to play for money, that's what's your poison. Make it a freeze out, and then everyone's happy. It's a couple of quid to play, $5, whatever you fancy. Everyone knows they're not going to go home mumbling, hating their best friends because they've lost a fortune. Everyone gets 10,000. The blinds will go up every 10 hands. Starts at 10.20, so you do get a fair amount of play in these tourneys we show. It's also 8-handed. This varies from site to site. You get 9-handed tables, 10-handed tables. Here we show 8-handed, and you need to come in the top 3 to take some money. And the way the money gets divvied out is 50% of the prize pool to first place, 30% to second, 20% to third. And Robbie's got the best of it. Titanic. There's 3 overcards on the board. The 6, you might not necessarily worry about somebody holding a 6, but an ace and a jack. Titanic has him covered, but there's now 4 overcards on the board. Also 2 spades. Yeah, Titanic lets that go, but to be honest, let it go earlier. What was it that he liked about the flop that he didn't like with the turn? The turn really, it was scary, but the flop was pretty scary too. You've got to let go of your hands if you really can no longer say that you think you're winning. Unless you know that player, you know you can make a move against them. Love your hand, but don't love it when it's no longer likely the best hand. G. Older might think that this is still worth asking a question. You Are Joking has got themselves a draw with 5, 6, 7, 9. Thinks he's got 4 outs, but actually only has 3 because we can see one of the 8s is out there in Joker Poker's hand. Four, 5, 6, 7. Sadly not the straight, but You Are Joking is good enough to stick around when it makes sense to and draw, and get out of it when no longer thinks he's got the best. And that's another thing, don't be embarrassed. If you've chased a hand, to the river, calling bets or making bets at every single stage, when it gets to the river, there's no more mystery, there's no more cards to come. If you haven't won, if you haven't made the hand you're after by that stage, don't feel obliged to continue in your bluff. If you think that you still could win this by bluffing, then that's your prerogative. But don't feel that just because the guy bet, you called, you saw another card. The guy bet, you called, you saw another card. If you do that to the river and you've still not made the hand you were drawing to, if he bets again, let it go. Unless you're getting massive pot odds, I mean massive pot odds, and you think the guy's a complete liar and your high card's going to beat him, why on earth would you want to call that? Because all of that money in the pot is now gone. That's bad money, that's dead. The chips you save you can use to finance the rest of your campaign, to come back from near death, chip in a chair and all that. But we've seen it enough times here, the guys that get down to 20 chips and then they double up and they double up, they triple up, bang, they're back on top. The chips you don't throw after the dead money is part of the ammunition for the ongoing campaign. Here's Joker with a pair of 8s. And with 4 people folding out before him, I was going to say, all of a sudden 8s become far stronger in that situation. Because he's got a medium pair in the face of 2 guys that are only involved at this stage because of the blinds and the cut-off. If he gets called there, he's going to want to see a nice flop, but that's the right time to play 8 strongly. Playing 8 strongly after the flop is going to be tough because you're going to have a big percentage that there's going to be overcards to the 8 in the flop. And it's a bit when people say about how do I play medium and small pairs, things like 5s or 6s. The truth is, with a pair of 6s, you're facing 96% chance of seeing 7 and above come down in the flop, at which point, if anyone bets into you, have they got the bigger pair? You don't want to scare yourself out of it, but you've got to be aware that if you're going to play those kind of cards, you need to either play them late and cheap and get lucky, and if you don't and you meet resistance, be ready to let them go, or you've got to play them aggressively. And then at least that way you either win it there and then, or the people that do come with you, you can at least vaguely put them on a range of hands. It's a bit like one of our scenarios we had tonight. You're limping on the small blind, you don't know where you are. Nobody has any information about each other. You've got to ask a question, otherwise you can't put your opponents on a hand. And if you can't put your opponent on a hand, how do you play against them? You'll hear most of the guys interviewed talk about the fact that I know what I've got, there's no mystery there, but far more important than knowing what I've got is knowing what they've got. And you only do that by asking questions. And how do we ask questions in poker?
By betting.
Well, thank you. All together now. I'm just checking you're still with us. Very quiet over there.
And you hope you get the right answers.
I'd like to know, actually, on our Beat the Presenter tables, we get a lot of people that say woof.
I'm a bit worried about that.
I've never really understood it.
I'm being begged to say hello to George Wonder.
Oh no. Oh no, that's from last night, yeah.
Is that an underlying joke? Because they've been going on and on about it in my little game here.
Yeah. Yes, I had these magical poker glasses supplied by our very own Barry the Bully. And apparently I look like a cross between George Michael and Stevie Wonder, so I was George Wonder.
Is that right? Oh, I get it now.
Well, this is going to be a decent matchup here. We've got 10s are all in, which aces are going to love. Jack King actually could have let that go quite easily, but he has everybody covered. Aces are now pushed in. 900. You've still got it covered, but I think you've got to let it go. Okay, well, hey. That's why you might want to call, I guess. But a diamond, the 10 is down, the 10 for the trips. Well, Joker thought that that was beautiful because he actually had somebody playing against him when he had the best of it. And there you see that the flop spelled out his doom, but in fact, You Are Joking was going, haha, my 10, but there were 2 diamonds there, so with 3 people in the pot, and it's a brilliant example of what we spoke about to one of our viewers that asked about, I've had my aces cracked. The more people in, the more things that can go wrong for you. But the blinds are only at 20-40, the second level of the tournament. Joker Poker still got about 7 blinds, 7 big blinds he can afford. It's a full table, so he's going to get the full orbit before the blinds come round. He's about to get walloped by 40, but he is going to look to make a move soon. And Chuckle 55, I mean, he did flop a draw, but I think that's a bit of a reckless call. King Jack suited. Again, you evaluate King Jack suited as a hand to have on the button, and it looks nice. But once Joking's made a big raise and Joker Poker's made a big re-raise, I find that quite easy to let go. And sadly, the damage that was done in that hand has seen Chuckles off as our first damage. Chuckle 55 goes out. All of his chips went to You Are Joking, who managed to improve his pocket pair to a set on the flop. Joker Poker punching his screen. Chris is going to do what we said. He's in a late position. Might get the opportunity to limp him. Surprised there Joker Poker didn't, but he is low on chips and no doubt has already reached the point where he's only going to play a hand he wants to play. And there you go. It's going to happen to you. 7.5 to 1 that your pocket pair will improve to a set. And here we go. It's exactly what we said. That's probably not going to get called. Well, that's loose for me. I mean, he's got the draw. He's got 3 outs with. If the 3 comes down, he's made himself the wheel. Titanic would have ace 2, 3, 4, 5, but this is not the time to make those moves, I'm afraid, Titanic. And that's brilliant news for Chris, because I really didn't think that he was going to get paid off to such a degree. Titanic obviously decided there was a pot to be stolen. But again, I'm going to keep saying this and it's going to get boring, but try and put your opponents on a range of hands. There's Chris, is limped in late position. What kind of hand would you do that with? Something kind of interesting but not really worth investing in. And when somebody then that limped in starts betting at you, if they had a hand before the flop, they would have been betting at you then. So you have to put them on a range of hands that includes ones that have now improved. You've not improved to anything other than a draw. Yep, you're packed with potential, but the guy bets at you and you call, and the guy bets at you and you call, and the guy bets at you and you go all in. You're kind of probably much asking for that. Maybe I've got you wrong, Titanic. Was there something else you saw, something else you thought? Don't forget, we always like to hear from you, the guys that we watch. We make all these comments about you if we got the wrong end of your stick. 84222. Do text us. Email us, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk.
So sounds like I'm cracking open a beer there. I promise I'm not. It is a soft drink.
Just a couple of tinnies, go with a tatties. Well, Joker has picked Queen 9 to make his stand. Sadly beaten by a couple of cards, Queen Jack. And there we see our third casualty. Chuckle 55 first, Titanic. Now Joker. And how bonkers that the hand that ruined him was pocket aces. Don't forget, pocket aces is a pair. It's a cracking pair. Don't look at me like that. But it remains a pair. It's the best thing to have pre-flop, but post-flop, all sorts of stuff can come down. So, whoever lets go of a pair of aces, but there are times when you got to. We're seeing lots of people hitting themselves through the kind on the flops here. And there goes Sol with a low flush, but a flush nonetheless. And unless Chris here going, there's the flush, has anyone got it? Again, put people on a range of hands. You've made the bet people have called. He won't like the 10, but actually you probably won't like the fact he got called at all. 420 in the pot. Now makes another bet. Surprised he didn't get raised up there, but people probably a bit scared of full house possibilities. And the straight in the end. Chris takes down the pot. All sorts of stuff packed into that scary board. And you can see why everyone's slowed down, because you just don't know who's got what in that situation. Well, G order, he had a go. He made a move. And somebody re-raised and said, you want to fight? You alright over there?
I'm fine, I'm enjoying myself.
Are they being nice?
They are being nice, they're always nice actually. Cheeky, some of them.
Funny that, who'd have thought?
Especially a double top.
That's alright, we'll let you get away with murder.
Oh.
Well, it's jacks and threes for you are joking, but 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. And you are joking. Has mistimed this. Is going to pay him off. And now we see that Sal and Robbie just starting to dwindle in chips. They've still got both of them over 10 times the big blind. We move up to 40-80 on the blind. So again, this is what we're saying to you, the difference between, well, one of the differences between cash games and tournament games. In tournaments you've got that added pressure of the blinds going up, so you can't just sit back for 6 hours and play nothing but premium hands. You've got to get a bit more inventive with it. The other sad fact is you've got to realise that sometimes it's not going to work in your favour. If you don't get hands, you don't get in good situations. There's not a lot you can do about it. And the other thing you have to do is recognise that people can steal your position. Played one of these the other night, if anyone saw it, and it was every time there was a position to make a move, you think, okay, this isn't a hand I want, but I've got position here, and then the guy ahead of you decides to steal that position by making a move, completely nullifies what you're about to do, and you have to let it go. And sometimes if you're not getting position and you're not getting the cards, you've got to realise that that's the whole point with, when we talk about the variance in games, you can't expect to win everything. In a cash game, you can't expect to win every hand, but as long as when you win hands they're profitable, then you're okay. With tournaments, if you're not winning them, you're out. And you're going to have to accept that. And you speak to any of the big tournament players. And I was amazed when I first started talking to these guys. A couple of hands here. Sol's probably going to go all in. And I would imagine You Are Joking is going to be calling it. Chris fancy putting another 120? He does. He hits a part of it, but not the biggest part of it. And You Are Joking is probably going to try and isolate now, get Chris out of this. I would have fancied a bigger bet there, frankly. He's still got to be worried about the clubs, and just putting 80 into a 920 pot. Oh, you're joking. I don't really know why he's slowed down here. And Chris, if he makes a big bet, it could well scare You're Joking away. No, he doesn't. Okay, fair dues, Chip. And we see Sol go. I'm not too sure what You're Joking was doing there, but they're in the money. Maybe he thought he could still get to the conclusion of that without having to put more chips down there. But there's this pressure. The blinds are ticking away. You're Joking now. Happy to sit back. He's actually got the best of this, but doesn't fancy pushing himself in trouble. Makes that small bet. That seems to have worked for him pretty well, just making the minimum bet. But as I was saying, you talk to some of these guys and I was amazed at how casual they are when they get knocked out of a tournament, and they're like, that's what tournament's like. If you don't get the hands, you don't get any position, then you can't have any expectation of winning it. But treat the tournament like a hand. You don't win this one, you win the next one. Yada yada yada. Can I help you?
Do you know what? I wish you could. These boys, when they know they're going to be on TV, they're so tight, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, familiar with that. I'm afraid I'm no longer participating in any way whatsoever in the Beat the Presenter. I had to play. I had such an awful night last night. I had to play tournaments all day today, just to prove to myself I could play poker, because last night was quite soul destroying. But I won 6 of my 7. Oh no, I cashed in 6 of my 7 today, so I feel totally back on top of my game. Just never touching Beat the Presenter again. Well, there's the draw on for Robbie. He would like to see a 4, but Giolda actually has one of his 4s. Robbie has the flush draw as well as the straight draw, but the key word there is draw, which means nothing so far. 2s and 5s with the aces. It's going to be a split pot if both of these guys stay in the game. Tell a lie. Sorry, that's me watching Lyndsay's game. Aces, Robbie. Have a reward. Deep thought. Robbie gonna just double the blind, gets the call. You're Joking might just like the ace, and he has the draw on top of it.
Someone says, tell Maz he looks a bit like Darren Brown.
Oh, for God's sake. Look at my eyes, around my eyes, not through the eyes. And somebody there comparing your table to the tightness of a mallard's rear.
Oh, really? Yeah, believe me, it is.
You're Joking, surging ahead on the button. The blinds are 81.60. You see how relaxed the blinds were earlier on. We started 10.20, loads of play. And here we are, we're down to our guys that are in the money. Remember, top prize is 50%, second is 30, third is 20. So there's a big difference. Just because you're in the money, you've still got to go crazy. It's the queens for Robbie. You're Joking. He's not going to see the cards he wants, and there's nearly 5 grand in that pot. And the 4 house, 9's full of queens. Draw city again. No, there goes the jack for You're Joking now. And Robbie's not stupid. He's spent all this time trying to accumulate chips. He's not going to give them up now. Jack falls on the flop for Giolda. Robbie has up and down. 7 will give him 7, 8, 9, 10 Jack. The Queen would actually give him the straight right up. But G makes it too expensive to sit on a draw. And again, Robbie here, you feel, has realised that he has such a chip advantage, is really not going to start dedicating chips to anything other than hands he wants to play and take control of. Here he goes, makes the bet. Ace 2 suited in the small blind, just makes up the blind. Robbie thinks okay. Robbie might make a positional move here at some point, even though he's not hit anything. If you are joking, checks again. Robbie there, I think, definitely moved into, you know, into a shut-up shop mode there, because really, in the face of that many checks, his opponent could be setting a trap, but a little bit really at the end there, not much at all. Even just coming in with a blind, if his opponent's got nothing, he's going to give it up. He's only checking because it's for free. He doesn't really want to be part of this hand. Ace 9 for Robbie. Two pair for UR, and a pair for Robbie, but the diamonds are going to make Robbie think twice, knowing how tight he's been with this big chip lead. Not at all surprised to see him give that down again. There's not a huge amount of difference. This might be a hand that Giolda wants to make a move with. He's been pretty quiet. We just have a look at the number of hands played here. So we can see that that's only when we were down to our last 5. Let's go back into the game, see how these guys are going to kick out this three-way action. To be honest, 3 ways, you would imagine everyone pretty much getting as involved as each other. There's only one round that's for free, in inverted commas, when you're on the big blind, but of course the big blind's a position you want to get involved in. And of course, if you manage to steal the blinds there, it's not too shabby, 480. Before anybody's even been dealt their cards. Meanwhile, in Beat the Presenter, Lyndsay's hair being complimented over and over.
Oh, I don't know about compliments. One of them said I've got great hair for radio. I don't think it's a compliment.
Oh, I must have missed that bit.
I'll have to get a new hairdresser.
I think we could see fireworks here. Ace, Queen, King, Jack and Ace 3. Ace 3 might find, just going to limp in here. Oh no, okay, fair dues to you. Unlucky with your timing. It's one of the problems a lot of people do when they start feeling short stacked, is they wait for an ace and go all in. Is the truth of it is, if you're going to get called, chances are you're beaten, because somebody else is going to call you with a stronger ace than Ace 3. You might be better off going in with something like 10 Jack or 9-10, because then at least you've got 2 live cards. There, Alder hits his hand and survives, so welcome to poker. But it's a dangerous move to make, to wait for any ace, any king, because if you do get called, chances are you're now the underdog and probably one of your cards is dead. And you hear a lot of the top pros talk about this. If your life's on the line and you're going to get into a situation, even if you know you're going into it as an underdog, at least you're an underdog with 2 live cards. To be an underdog with only 1 live card, you really are just completely crippling your chances here. Jack 10, there's the 7 on the river for You Are Joking. Saves his bacon. He's on the big blind. Queen 4. I'm not going to do it here, but the next hand is going to have just under half his stack pushed in as a mandatory big blind. 320 on Ace 5. He's probably going to be happy with that. And all the other players must realise that whatever they do here, they're going to find You Are all in. Queen on the flop for Robbie. Queens and 8s, only an ace. That's not an ace. It's a 4. It looks a bit like an ace, but it's not going to help You Are Joking. You Are Joking is the first of our money makers to leave. Well done, you were in the money. You stick in there a lot longer some than the other guys. And now Alder goes all in with aces and queens. He's got Robbie covered. There's the ace. And Robbie, here's our 2nd place finish. So well done Robbie, well done G Alder. We're going to have a quick look at the chip movement graph for that tournament we were watching there. And the interesting thing to see there is Robbie is, you can see that plateau in the last quarter there. well above of everybody else. Look at the green line, look at the black line. At that stage, Robbie had a huge chip lead, and he hung on and hung on and hung on, and then at the end... So, just going to quickly nip into an email. This is an interesting email from Double Top, and this is to do with... This is actually kind of a very specific question, but it talks in general about the way that people come into satellites. Hi, lovely Lyndsay and Matt Phillack. Not so sure about that. Great show last night. Thanks very much, Double Top. The only thing I'd like to ask is why extra people can buy into the semi-finals of things like the Poker Bowl for a large amount when everyone else had to qualify. The thing you'll find with most big tournaments is that because they're satellites or qualifiers, with these tournaments, if you want to go to the World Series and pay $10,000 to play in the main event, hurrah! However, a lot of people don't want to do that. Is that what you can rather do is buy into a smaller event. So, for instance, if you want to play in one of our qualifiers, it's a smaller amount to buy in. It's not going to cost you $200 to buy into that, and you do stand a chance of progressing through those tournaments. You'll find this with the rounders tournaments as well you meet online, is that you can buy straight in at the top level where all the big prizes are, but if you want to weasel in a bit earlier, you're paying less, you've got to play more games and finish in more games. But it's exactly the same thing here. If people want to qualify, they stand a chance of still being in the final, but for a smaller investment. People just want to buy in. That's entirely up to them, and that's obviously the beauty of being able to do all these super satellites, is you have 10 guys all enter for $1 grand, and there's 10 grand in the pot, and one guy gets to go to the World Series. So I hope that answers your question, unless I've misunderstood. If I have, then do let us know. But we are going to, right now, jump down to our multi-table tournament and see how those boys are getting on. As Lyndsay continues to beat up the guys on the table.
They were actually watching then and trying to get tells on my poker face.
God, they're going to have to be quick, aren't they?
I know.
So here we are. We are down to 31 players in our multi-table now. Skinner's the big chip leader here. Oh no, tell a lie. Enigma has got himself 18 grand. And the beauty of poker and all of its dynamics is that Posh in seat 2, PUFC boy, has got 3,300, while Enigma's got 18 million pounds. And in fact, fantastic. Here's Bono U2 on the button, who I spent an entire night going, it's Bono, thinking that it was B-O-N-O-U, Bono, or something, and then at the very end I went, oh, it's Bono. I spent about 2 hours calling this guy some strange name. Anyway, Bono U2.
As in The Edge.
Yeah.
That
he moves
famous
in
scene on
mysterious
Alan
ways.
Partridge. How's The Edge? Oh, he's fine. He's fine.
You're not really Bono, are you?
No.
No, I'm not, no.
Oh, The Edge is fine.
There's more to Ireland than this. Ace Queen for Enigma. Bono 8-10 suited in the cut-off. Classic position to make a steal. No, just going to limp in. Ace Queen, happy to let 4 players potentially into the pot. 3 players going to limp. Will Tomcat, another regular. Good evening, Will Tomcat. Well, this could potentially work out well for Enigma, having disguised his premium hand by just limping. But if a queen comes down, there's going to be trouble, because that will give Enigma 2 pair, but it will give Bono, will make his nuts straight. And that's a good card for Enigma, but still really playing a risky game here, but has such a chip lead. It might be what we saw with our single table a minute ago with Robbie. Got a real big chip lead. What if he does get bust? But I'm surprised that Enigma wasn't compelled to make a move with the Ace Queen. Takes down 1900. Unlikely, I would say, to get a call. Takes down the 1900 plus his own 1,000, but that doesn't count. That was your money to start with. That's my theory. Ace 10 for Posh. Pocket Queens just doubles it. The blinds here on our Poker Night Live private tournament that we were going to be watching on and off during this evening. Well, it's good news for Bono, but actually it's bad news for Bono because nobody else in this hand has really picked up anything. It's a small bet, 200 makes the pot 15. Is anybody likely to want to hang around with that? No. And there you go, it's the dream, it's three of a kind, it's queens. There's no one that's going to give you any money. You almost wish that there'd been something else in the flop that people can hit. Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Well, there's really not too many hands there I'd fancy. Be interesting to see if this does get dumped all the way around to Will Tomcat, if he'll feel maybe he can steal the blinds here. 300 in the blinds. 9-2 is not likely to be a hand he's going to win legitimately. No, doesn't fancy it. Fair dues. Wowie, there you go. There's the first wowie of the evening. Shuffler just gets the blinds. That's not too bad a thing. Finance is the next little bit of the table. Another mixed bunch of hands there for people. And as I say, this is one of the many tables. We still have a few tables going on in our multi-table tonight. This is our Poker Night live private game. Let's have a look at one of the other tables we've got running here tonight. And don't forget, as we run through the blue cheese grater of love, that shout from the rooftops, Poostache. Mr. Perfect, we've seen do well before. Ram Chip was busy on the forums earlier on. And don't forget, folks, we do have the forum. If you want to learn more about these tournaments, the private Poker Night Live tournaments, the forum is the place to go. And also some lively debate about all sorts of other things that I've decided I'm never going to go and try and join in with ever again. But www.pokernightlive.co.uk is the address. Perhaps during the next break you'd like to go and have a look. Mr. Perfect with a decent draw, a nice high flush draw, and makes a strong enough bet to scare Froggy off. And again, a real diversity in chips here. Batty Boggle, just over £1,000 with the blinds at 150, 300, so it's a pretty scary stage to be at with that dealer button getting close. Next hand you're going to be in for 300 without even knowing your cards. All the way up to Froggy with 13.5. Froggy's going to limp. Mr. Perfect, is he going to let him? Jack 4 might be the hand to actually go, do you know what, fine. Mr. Perfect feels like being a bit ballsy, but he doesn't. Froggy's picked up the 9. It is the best visible pair. The fact that Mr. Perfect just flat called might, to me, put him on a range of hands that doesn't include a pair bigger than 9. And there's Froggy, very textbook, makes a bet. If Mr. Perfect calls back, do I then put him on a pair of 5s? Is that why he limped in? I don't know. This is quite a big hand for Poostache. Poostache having a think about it. Pocket 9s from Ram. Makes it 900. 3 times the big blind. It's all textbook stuff. Well, there you go, 7.5 to 1. There's the set. Just double the big blind. Big pot built up there, but Poostache. Poostache, not going to give it up. Well, that's our multi-table tournament.
Pretending not to.
Don't look at her face. She'll give away the aces. So that's our multi-table tournament. We're going to come back to that during the night. We will end up on the final table towards the end of the show. We're also, after the next break we take, we're going to come back and have a look at the game that Lyndsay is still slogging away in. But we're going to quickly jump to some of your emails. Thanks again for all of your emails, folks. Much obliged to you. And this one is one that I've already read out, so I probably won't do that again. Just seems silly, really, doesn't it? Just repeat myself. That's also one I've done as well. It's just bad management on my side. Okay, we have one from Dawn here. Thanks very much. Hi, would you say you'd rather play on big money tables live or online and put your trust in the computer dealer, as some sites seem to freeze before the river comes? Well, there's two kind of parts of this question. First of all, would I rather play on big money tables live or online? I would always choose live over online, simply because there's so much more information you can gather. We always talk about this, you know, poker is a game about gathering information. It's about knowing the maths behind how strong your hand is, it's understanding your position. It's watching people's betting patterns, but also tells. We were just covering up the beautiful Lyndsay in case she went, oh my God, aces! Which, of course, a lot of people, I played in a game last week out in London, took Michelle down there, and there was one guy we played against, sat to my left, and every time he got a hand, he went, ooh, or he went, oh. And even though he remained, his expression did not change, he made these strange little noises. It's like, I'm not going to get that online. I'm not going to see the guy's hand shaking because he's got a monster hand. So if I was going to ever stake a big amount of money, I'm always going to pick the live option. The other site you make about having the trust in computer dealers, as some sites seem to freeze, it's something I have experienced, and it's very scary, but I think you'll find that that's going to become a thing of the past because it's big business. All of these companies are developing their software all the time. You see all the stuff that we show here, all the games we play in the Beat the Presenter. The software is very, very solid these days. And I think the whole culture of people being scared about online shopping and online sites, it's very, very rare that you need to worry about that. And you'll also find the difference is that if you ever do encounter any problems like that, all of these guys, all their software is backed up by security, logs, hand history. If you ever have any problems, no one's ever going to dispute what happens because it's all recorded. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, but from a more strategic point of view, live games is for me. Okay, we have another one here from Tomo. Hi guys, I wrote in the other night asking about cash games, and it's helped a lot. Great, it's always nice to know that our advice helps you. I'm doing quite well and making a profit by playing very tight and only playing combos of ace, king, queen, jack and 10 and limping in late position with low pocket pairs. We just saw that work out very well for a few of our players, so that's good news. Just make sure you let it go if you don't hit and people bet at you. That's all I'd say. But I have a couple more questions. Playing like this, is it right to play larger, more full tables? And when I get a raisable hand, how much would you suggest to raise by in different positions? Playing like this in a larger, fuller table, that's probably the only place you want to be playing. If you are dedicated to playing premium hands, you are tight as, and you are only going to play those hands. Playing in a short-handed game, like if you're playing in a six-pack, you know, sitting on a six-player table or heads up, that ain't going to work for you. So really, you do need to be sitting on the bigger tables because that's where you're going to get the value. You obviously want to be playing on a table where you have a lot of people, so the pots are generally large, and though you're not going to get involved in many hands because you're sitting there waiting for those premium hands, you're at least going to find some action. If you're in a six-player table, if you don't play anything for an hour because you're waiting for your big hands and then you make a move, they're going to smell you and they're just going to fold, and you're going to get the hands, but you're not going to get the situations. Or when you do get the situations, people are only going to call you with a decent hand themselves, and that means when you do get action, you're going to be like up for a good fight. As far as how much to raise, it really depends what your betting patterns have been to this stage. We see a lot of the time, and we always talk about people pre-flop. If you want to make a sizable bet, you're looking at 3 or 4 times the big blinds. You want to show people you mean business. But again, the thing I always say is work out what you want your bet to do. If you want to scare people off, what's the best thing to do? And this is where if you are a player that's sitting back waiting for premium hands, unless you're very lucky and you get dealt lots of these, that means you're going to spend a lot of time not playing. Make sure you make use of that time. Don't browse the web or watch the soccer, or football as we call it in England. Watch what other people do. See how their betting works. If you've noticed that a lot of people will call with a double the blind or 3 times the bet, if you want to scare people off, clearly these are guys that need a bit more of a push to get them off a hand. So you've got to pay attention. And also, we say this a lot, make notes on these guys. If you're sitting in a cash game, if you sit there for 4 hours and you're only playing premium, the larger percentage of the time you're not going to be involved in the hand. All of this software supports making notes, and if it doesn't, the one you particularly like, get your book out. But make sure that you're making use of that time, because who's to say you won't come back tomorrow? You're going to sit down on the same table with the same guys. So, you know, it's all about learning how these guys are going to move. As far as what amount to raise, again, really depends. In late position, people will suspect you're stealing the blinds, that you're trying to make a move on them. So, you know, be careful. But thanks very much for email. You can get in touch with us. We still have a lot of show to come. So you can get in touch with us. You can text us on 84222. Don't forget 84222. Please start your message with the word poker and then your question, and also tell us your name. And you can email us poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Other than that, we are now going to go to a break, but before that we're going to go to our special guest, Mark. And once we come back from the call and the break, we are then going to pick up Lyndsay's call.
The presenter, yes.
Exactly. You're looking confident.
No.
But other than that, we'll take a break, but before that we're going to take our call.
Hi Mike, are you there?
I'm here still, yes.
Oh, that's good. Now, if you didn't hear Mike Lacey earlier on, Mike's from the website antiesup.com. So how's the website going, Mike? What new is happening on that front?
Oh, it's going great at the moment. Obviously, the Irish Open created a lot of interest for us because the main purpose of our site is to report Irish poker news. So we were there all weekend long doing live updates from all the tournaments, getting photographs of the players on the site, doing interviews with players. So it's going well.
That's been taking up your time then, I guess, for the past few weeks, with it being a pretty huge event.
Yeah, it was massive. It was a bit exhausting. That's probably why I'm suffering a bit now with the flu.
Yeah, but we've heard that before. That doesn't sound like the flu to me. You can call it the flu if you want. We know the truth behind the story.
It's the black stuff.
It might be that as well. But
I think so. Now, what's all this about, these little rumours about there being a bit of a deal done in the Irish Open?
Well, apparently, I have had it confirmed as well. There was a deal done at the final table.
Oh, there was definitely.
Well, I heard it from one of the players. There was definitely a deal done.
Right.
Once they got down to 3, they chopped the money up. The person with the most chips took slightly more than the others. But the interesting thing was there was actually betting in the running on a lot of betting sites on this because it was being shown live on television.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And I know somebody who put a substantial amount of money on once they were heads up, who had no idea there'd been a deal done, so that would obviously have affected his decision to bet on the event.
So has there been any comeback from that?
Not as far as I know. The rumours hit the websites now, but it's always the same in the poker tournaments. If the prize money is very top heavy, it's so tempting for the players to chop it up rather than risk losing €100,000 on a bad beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for us because obviously primarily what we're watching is, internet poker, so it's obviously not something that is yet that widespread across the sites where people that have been through a big tournament get to chop it up. I'm sure it won't be too long, but is this something you see in most of the tournaments that you cover?
We see it in a lot of tournaments, and now the European rankings are starting to reflect it as well. If a deal is done, then usually the points for rankings stop at whatever position the deal was done. So everybody at this tournament would have got points for third place, as there were 3 players left.
Is there any rules against it? Do you have to declare that you're going to do it or not?
You don't have to. There's nothing you can do to stop a deal because it's generally not declared. There's nothing to stop the players giving the other player some of the prize money at the end anyway. So
were you aware of this happening as you were watching the tournament, or was this something which came out later?
Not at the time, although there was some of the play was a bit excruciatingly bad. So you could, you could sort of tell something
loose.
might have. There was all-ins called with Queen 8, I believe, for a lot of chips and stuff like that. So you could kind of tell that something must have gone on, but it's not until afterwards you find out whether something did go on. But it is happening online a lot now as well. A lot of sites have deal-making procedures set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I say it's something that I think we've seen lots of the popularity of online sites and the way they run all these single table tournaments and these sit and goes. You see that influencing the live card games, and now you're seeing some of the stuff from live card games coming back and affecting the internet. Are you a big internet player yourself?
Yeah, I do play a lot on the internet. It's all I really get time to play. I run tournaments during the week, so I don't get a chance to play them much myself live, but the internet, when I get home for a few hours, is my source of income.
So you have a lot of success?
Recently, anyway.
And what do you play mainly? Is it cash games or tournaments? Or?
I used to just play tournaments. When I started, all I played was tournaments. I started off playing $1 tournaments and moved up from there. But maybe October last year, I started playing cash games and haven't looked back since. so much easier than tournaments as far as making regular money. You can go ages of playing multi-table tournaments and not having a cash, even if you're playing really well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Wise words indeed, mate. Wise words indeed. Tournaments are a bit harsh, aren't they, if you're not running too well?
They can be, yeah.
You've got to have a lot of patience in those cash games, though, having you in there, sit there and just grind it out. So it can be a bit of a hard slog, isn't that right, Matt?
It is tricky stuff, but we do our best. We do our best.
We do. Well, we're going to speak to Mike a bit later on. We've got to take a short break now, but stick around because lots more poker to come on Poker Night Live. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm Lyndsay and I'm joined by Matt Broughton tonight.
Hello.
Hello. Matt's been looking after you for the past hour, doing some lovely commentating while I was playing in the Beat the Presenter tournament, which we will be watching very soon.
All to be revealed.
Yes, all to be revealed. You had some great emails before the break.
Yeah.
Lots of emails coming in tonight. As always, we want your questions and your comments, so please do get in touch with us. You decide what we talk about on this show. It's your show. So why don't you text us? There's the number coming up on your screen. It's 84222 and put the word poker at the start of your message, or you can email, and the email address is coming up. It's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. I've just got a text from Big Red Fred. I just want to read this out first before we go to the game because it's very, very sweet. He's wrote a little poem. Bless him. And he says, there was once a player called Mark whose bite was worse than his bark. He played 7-8 and flopped the nut straight. He really is quite a shark.
Nice.
There was once a player called Browning who hid his good hands by frowning. He shows he's got guts when he bluffs with the nuts and laughs when he sees the fish drowning. Now there's more to come from this from our other PNL commentators, so we'll read some more of those little poems throughout the night, but we're going to head over to the Beat the Presenter tournament.
Let's see how she did. Didn't she do well?
Not tonight, I'm afraid.
Oh, shush! Now let's find out. Well, that's not the worst first hand ever to have, is it really? So, of course, all the pressure on you.
Totally, yeah. See, they think I'm quite good because I've won 2. They don't realise I got lucky. And the problem is now, after watching the other 2 tournaments, I really felt tonight like no one would call me.
Well, it is very hard, I must admit, in these, everyone's very, very tight because no one wants to look silly on telly. You called the raise, you're going to be out of position. You got ace-jack, you don't mind that, do you?
Yeah, I just thought I'd call it. If he hadn't raised first, I was going to raise, but he got there first, so...
And Mooncat wondering if his suited connectors are worth investing in a 3-way pot. Money to be made if he hits it. He would have actually plunked into the flush draw, but probably best to get out. Do you like this flop?
Not really.
No. But you're under the gun, you've caused the raise, kind of... You almost, as soon as you hit the check button, you know he's going to bet you, whether he's got it or whether it's just out of principle.
Had no idea where I was, so I just got rid of it.
No, that's fine. Do you know what? I don't know. The thing is, somebody's going to go, you should have re-raised him there, put him to the test. But the truth is, it's a tournament where you know that anybody's going to do anything to you because you're on telly.
Yeah.
And you actually end up now... You're 90 chips down from your starting stack. In fact, tell a lie, 10 of those are in here. So you're 80 chips down.
Could have been a lot more.
It could have been a lot more. Yeah, you might have the best of it. Yeah, your hand might improve to something. But at this stage, do you really need to get involved? You don't need to get involved. I've got no problem with that. I'm sure somebody else could sit in this seat and Casper be going, oh no, he's just playing position. You've got to make a move. I agree with you there. You're not winning. You don't think you're winning. You don't think he's bluffing. It's
one of those hands you want to hit the flop with, and if you don't...
Yeah. Well, the fact that it's ace-jack, you know, ace-jack is a troublesome bugger of a hand. The fact that it's suited shouldn't really kind of like put a huge amount of faith back into it. It's easily beatable. You haven't hit any part of the flop. The fact that the guy took the initiative and made the bet pre-flop, even if he's got an ace, maybe he's got you beat with ace-queen or ace-king. It's, you know, it's so easy to imagine that he's got you beat. And to a certain degree, even if the ace comes down, he's the guy that made the pre-flop raise. Do you like your ace-jack? So it's easy for me to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Ace-queen's going to push forward. Sausages, 1981. I like that name. What a great name. Harwick, who I'm sure was being very insulting to me in the chat box.
Is that who called you Darren Brown?
Well, the funniest thing was that I joined Lyndsay's table as an observer, just to see what chat was going on, just to land as people were attacking me. And so I made a comment, and everyone went, "Oops, sorry, Matt, didn't realise you were watching." Yes, always watching, always watching. 3-7 offsuit. It's a big hand, Lyndsay. Let's be honest.
Oh, it's a monster.
It's what we classify as a monster premium.
I was getting excited. The best bit though is when we kept coming back on screen, and they were all trying to get tells off me the way I was looking at the computer.
Desperate, aren't they?
I can't remember the hand it was, but someone actually put something down because they said my face looked very serious. It looked like I had it.
You look like you had a monster.
Yeah.
Sausages, sixes. Vidal is having a think. Well, sausages is. We've seen a lot of this tonight. People, in particularly that seat. Seat 6 plays a medium pair and hits the set, defying the laws of gravity.
It's in the
I'm sure
standard 60.
You're busy taking notes at this point rather than having idle chit-chat.
Yes, I was. That's the only problem with these tables. There's so much chat, and it is very friendly and very nice, but it can be a bit distracting as well.
Well, I'm bound to say this because I've yet to actually cash in one, but I quite like this part of the show because I get to chat to everybody. The poker's never the top draw variety from me personally, but I think that's the difference. I sat here in first seat with Casper. Casper's just totally silent, totally focused, and you can see that it means a great deal to Casper to take one of these $2 tournaments home. Queen 10, big move with the Queen 10. Actually had the worst of it, but no one wants to look stupid against you.
No, that was the problem though. When I did have a really good hand, I was just picking up little blinds because they wouldn't call my raises, and I was like, oh, call me now, I've got something.
But did you use that? Do you take that knowledge and then start making moves with lesser hands, or not because you don't want to get bust?
Well, I did later on, but it maybe came back to bite me on the bum.
It's tricky.
It is hard.
Mooncat makes the 3 times the blind with his suited ace-3. Peter Hooch.
And Double Top was out for revenge tonight because he was heads up with me in the last one that I won, and I knocked him out.
So he was burning with a rage.
He walked into my pair of kings, so he was out for revenge.
Well, kings on the table. Peter's first to act, and he decides he's going to have a quick prod with his ace.
It's really good to watch these back though and to see what everyone actually had at the time, and to know whether you actually did the right thing or not.
Yep, it is nice to... Oh, do you know what? I can't pretend that worked for me. I knew I was beat. All I've ever learnt was yes, I was ruined. Ace 8.
Oh, Peter Hooch is going to hate me. I've made him put down a better hand than me twice.
Yeah,
so.
But there you go. Fair dues to you. Got to be a bit more aggressive. So I think that's probably what wasn't working in my favour. See, I've got to learn from you now.
Oh, don't say that.
It's a whole new... Beat the presenter tables are a whole new sort of table for me. I've never... So much attention and chat in my life.
The first ones I was playing on, and I think it was Malcolm was telling me I was just being too timid, not being aggressive enough. So I have tried to be a bit more aggressive, but maybe I've been a little bit foolish as well.
Well, the thing is that the truth is, the good news is you're doing it when people have hands that are marginal and questionable, and it's Queen Jack or it's Jack 10 or something like that. I think the only problem is at some point you run into a hand.
Yes.
And we've seen that on a couple of the evenings, and I've fallen foul of it myself. You think, I'll make a move here, and you run into someone with a hand.
Yeah.
And then you're forced to let it go, and you've just pushed 100 chips in, and you only start with 1,000 here. So
it's a lot,
10% of your chips to, be bold. So then you kind of get bitten a couple of times, and you quieten down. So you've very much got to follow the pace of the game. And sometimes if you keep running into that, you think, tonight ain't my night. I'm just going to have to tighten up for a while.
Yes.
See if I can accumulate some chips with genuine hands, and then start doing that again. But that's what I was saying with tournaments. It's just... again, I keep sort of referring, I know it's dull, but refer to any of the people that you interview, and you're like, what are your expectations for this tournament? And even the guys that have won World Series, like, I never enter a tournament with any expectation, because with tournaments you can't.
Yeah.
You've got to, one, be making the right decision every time, which is obviously a skill in itself, but two, you've got to be not getting unlucky. It's not that you play poker that you need to get lucky, because hopefully you always go into a situation with an edge.
Yes.
But you need to not get unlucky,
yeah.
which is the guy that calls with 5-6 against your aces doesn't flop 5-6 or flop the straight. That's the hard thing, and that's why even the top guys that have made millions of dollars, they still go to any tournament with zero expectation of winning, because
anything can happen.
Said, I'll sit in a cash game. I'll sit in a cash game for 6 hours, and I tell you exactly how much I expect to make out of that. But in a tournament, if I got dealt aces every single hand, I still wouldn't expect to win, because somebody can crack me out, someone can bust me out, someone can outdraw me. It's interesting, but the good thing is you've only got to win one big tournament every couple of years, and that'll, you could spend a year with $1,000 buy-ins. You win one of them where the prize is $408,000.
And it's going to last you a long time.
Yeah, these guys have spent 20 years coming nowhere in a tournament. If they've got the bankroll to sustain spending $10,000 every year and then they win $7.5 million in the World Series, well, that's the variance of poker. It's down, 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 down. Hey!
Yeah.
I say, look at you. You're not scared about this. He's not hit the flop. That's good news for you. He's not even got any spade to dream about, and he's going, oh, poo. 80. You're going to raise him? Oh,
yeah, I should have seen that 80 as being a little bit weak. I wasn't sure if he was trying to
Why
trap
would
me.
somebody make a big move and then the next time go, yeah, just 80 this time?
I thought he might have been trying to trap me.
Yeah, it's easy to become overly paranoid, isn't it? That's the thing.
Someone said that to me in the chat box now. You're getting paranoid.
Yeah, I guess the truth is, it's not something we can capture statistically, but when people bet, I'm going to say 90% of the time it's because they've got something.
Yes.
And 90% of the time people check it's because they haven't hit what they wanted to, and they want a free card. And I think a lot of the time it's like Vidal there. He made such a big move before, doesn't hit any part of it. He's out of position.
His little 80,
is feeling I'm compelled to make a bet. And I've got a funny feeling if you just double that back at him, he probably goes, do you know what, I've not hit the flop. But it's a hard decision to make, because you're now dedicating chips where the cards almost don't matter. You're just playing each other psychologically, and it stinks. Look at this, good, nice. Mooncat does have a hand. 160 is a good bet. Can't imagine Peter's going to want to stick in this. He's got ace-8, but it's not that juicy. Good news is you still got the best of it, but there's all sorts of draws for Moon. Moon also has you covered.
He's in position, yeah.
You're under the gun. Having a think.
Yeah, what do I do now?
120. Well, the good news is you didn't do what Vidal did before, which was go from making a big bet to making a weenie bet. The truth is you've just run into somebody who actually believes they've got you beaten and has got you beaten.
I thought at least if I put this in, I'll know one way or the other whether he's got something better than me, because I had no idea where I was then at all. Yeah,
because for him to see a 120 and still make the raise, if you'd done what Vidal did and made it 80,
or if I was 40, thinking of just checking, but I thought then if he raises then, is he just doing it because he thinks I've shown weakness?
At least in that instance, and again, I mean, the cards he had kind of back me up right now, he's only going to do that with a hand.
Yeah.
So the fact that you made the bet, and as you say, at least when you let go of it, you can say, you know, I'm beat here, but I had a go. Whereas if you check and you raises, you don't know if you're being outplayed.
Yes.
And you've got to sit in this game for as long as you both survive with this person to your immediate left. So you need to learn something about them.
Yeah.
So do you know, I'm just so wary of saying anything about Be the Presenter games.
Oh no, I want your advice.
You really don't.
I
honestly,
do.
Honestly. 7th, 5th and 4th, my current best finishings.
I do think they play differently on these games, so I really do stand by that.
I had a really interesting one.
I'm very conscious of the fact it's going to be on TV.
I sat down, I don't know if people have played against Cupie, who I don't think's around tonight, but Cupie sat down to my left and said, I am drunk, whatever you do I'm going to raise you all in. And he did, and it was really horrible. And whatever you did, you'd limp in, he'd raise you all in, you raised 3 times the blind, he went all in. And it was really, really weird, so you just had to totally clam up. And then obviously soon enough he got called with rubbish and he was out. But it was really, really interesting the way it changed the dynamics. And he went out, the first person to go out, and then the rest of the table went, oh, and then everyone got on with playing poker. But it was just... It
changed the whole game.
It really did. It was quite interesting.
It does take one person, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Look at poor little Lyndsay there, this small stack. Oh.
We have faith. It's only 20-40 on the blinds. You got plenty of play.
Yeah, I wasn't panicking yet.
Double top with the 9s. Going to be out of position if he calls this. He does call it. He is out of position. And there's an overcard on the board. A bet to find out. Peter has hit a part of this. A check is kind of just begging for a bet. Makes it easy for Peter to have a go if he fancies it. It'd be a sort of a semi-bluff if he bets here. It'd be a bet to say, oh, you're checking, are you? But he's actually got a piece of this. He's got a 5. Double might let go of this, I think. Yeah. It is. I mean, what a brilliant example for both yourself in that previous hand and their double top.
Yeah,
how the difference of the position makes is that there's lots of betting before. The flop comes down and nobody's hit it, and who's to act first? You are. What are you going to do?
It does
do
make
I keep
it so much harder.
Maintain this facade I've built up? Do I bet because of position? And that's where you've really got to just stop before you do whatever you're thinking of doing. Just go, hang on a second, just ask yourself, where am I? Because if you're going to be first to act, you really need to have a hand that you're happy to keep working with, even if you don't hit the flop. Because there are some people, it's programmed into their head, you're first to act, after the flop you check, I'm going to bet you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bet at you. 10s, 160 appears to become the new bet.
See, they're all copying me
Exactly,
now.
well you set the tone.
I'm the trendsetter of this table.
Everyone liked your 160, yeah, fine. You want 160, 160 you shall get. Sausages. Sausages is made it 504, I think, in there, that chip stack.
Yeah.
I like that. I personally like to bet 201, just because you get that little different coloured chip. 10s going, 10s, beware. Well, it's, the jacks actually might save Helgarion a bit of pain here, because he might not have smelt a bigger pocket pair, but now the jack's got to make it easy for him to get away. Oh, okay, well, fair dues, don't then.
Oh, it's a
pray for a 10. Pray for a 10.
You can't see it, yeah, but you can't see on there because through the line. I only know because of the table, but it's right on the corner of the table there. You can't see it.
Sorry, Belg. I thought you were Helg. Harwick. They're suited, but they aren't nice. And yours aren't even suited.
No.
See, if he throws it away suited, what chance do you stand? You're going to steal it on the button? You're going to do all that trendy poker shenanigans? Or are you just going to go, don't like Jack 8? I think, oh well, that makes life easier.
That made it easier, yeah.
It's almost, I find sometimes a relief when someone does that. You know when you're sitting with some crummy hand.
It makes the decision for you, doesn't it?
And you think, maybe I should make a move. Oh, you've gone all in. Right, fold. Yeah. And it kind of, it's a bit like we had the email earlier on that was talking about we like to only raise or fold. And it's such a good discipline if you're trying to develop your game. Say, for this whole game, I'm not allowed to call.
Yeah.
The hand is either good enough to play, and one of the early books I read, I can't remember which one it was a long time ago, and it was like, if a hand's good enough to call, it should be good enough to raise.
Yeah.
And it's like, ace 5, is that good enough to raise? Well, then don't call with it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't think the hand has enough strength that you want to get your chips into it, you shouldn't get involved at all, because you'll hit a part of it and it'll work out badly for you. And I think it's a real good way of playing.
Yeah. No,
you either raise or you fold, and that's it. And that really does make the distinction between ace 5 and jack king. Which one of those do you want to fold? Which one of those do you want to raise?
The hands I've called with is the ones I've lost chips with.
Well, there you are.
Yeah.
I knew that.
And I don't think I was really calling on the game that I won, actually, the last one. I think that was one of the things that we said at the end of it, was that when I did have something, I was raising with it and playing with it properly, and if not, I was putting it down. Because
the funny thing is, in a short while, you know, we'll get to the stage where the blinds are bigger and there's more chips in play per individual, because we will lose people. At that stage, most people are moving. When they're moving chips, they're moving them. But at this early stage, a lot of people limping, a lot of people calling, and with hands that later on you'll see them making far more moves. It's a bit like you started off with lots of momentum. You were getting hands and making move and taking the blinds. But normally people seem to automatically fall into that later in the tournament, but early on.
Yeah.
Very sort of shuffly, touchy monkey or whatever that thing is.
that stuff. I know all that
all
stuff.
All that stuffy monkeys. They are, look, Peter has won every hand he's played in. It'd be interesting to cross-reference this with exactly how many hands he's actually played.
Being second from the bottom, that's not pleasant.
But again, see, that's the thing with these statistics. It looks like Peter is a genius, but you have to then go percentage of pre-flop folds. He is folding 85% of his hands, which is a good solid number. So that tells us Peter Hooch is pretty solid, is doing okay for chips, is not really made much of a move from where he started, but is solid, is seeing 25% of the flops. Yeah. No, he isn't. He's seeing 15%, sorry. 15% of the flops. So is tight at the most, but when he's getting involved, is winning the hands.
I think they just put that up to make me feel bad.
That's right. You see how I didn't mention yours at all. I just focused on Peter.
I like it.
But it is interesting if anybody out there uses any of the the tracking software, and you look at today, look at your actions today, and then you look at your actions over a lifetime, and they fluctuate so wildly. You can't make too many judgments about a person by one game. Setting up some little escape hatches for you.
Yeah, thanks. Any will do. Ooh.
Ace 9 suited. It's a nice bet. 240. It's not mucking around. It's not double. It's not triple.
It's
mahoosive.
Big. Sausages is having a think here.
Sausages is going, I don't like you. The fact you bet half your chips.
I wonder if he's Cumberland or pork.
He might be...
Beef.
Yeah, exactly. Or what was it? I bumped into a very interesting sausage in America that I believe was apple sausage, pork sausage. It was apple and something. I was like, what? Haven't you just got a normal sausage? Like coffee. Can I just have coffee? No, do you want latte, double D, cafe, mocha, latte?
Venti.
Can I just have a cup of coffee and some sausages? Do you want apple sausages, monkey sausages? Variety, eh? Who needs it?
Spice of life.
Apparently so. Well, that's not too bad for sausages, because he's hit a part of this.
Yep, he's got his 10.
He's decided he's out of position again. The position comes to play.
Yep.
If Harwick makes a bet here, which he doesn't, I think if Harwick makes a bet there, he can scare sausages away. Sausages now, even though the 2 doesn't help him at all, he goes, oh, what the hell then? If you weren't going to bet, I'll bet. And that does the job. And that's great, you're paying attention to what's going on.
And even if he was behind there, he still had one card which could have given the straight, so he had another option. Yeah,
that's the difference. If you're going to make a move like that on the river, if you get caught, you're caught.
Yeah.
At least there, you make a move, it's kind of a semi-bluffy move, because you're not exactly rubbish, but you're clearly, representing more strength than you've got. But as you say, at least there's cards to come.
Yeah.
And even if you did find out you had the worst of it, you've got options to survive. Peter, who we know, he only gets involved 15% of the time, but he wins 100% of the time.
And he's put down a few good hands.
Sex Panther. 60% of the time, it works every time. You know that, or does that not make any sense? Yeah. But at least you're laughing. Ron Burgundy.
Oh, really?
It's a gentleman's cologne.
Rule 61, no excuses, play like a champion.
Exactly. 2 words for that. No, there's 1 word for that. Champion darts. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Peter hath not hit anything apart from a draw. Mooncat's got himself a jack. It's the top pair. Is Peter about to blow the statistics?
We'll find out.
Is he going to call this on the draw?
Oh yes, he does.
That's not going to make his life any easier. It's a heart. I like to think on a positive side of things. Moon Jack, 920 in the pot. Peter's only got 690 left. Peter, come on now. You've got a good reputation here.
If he's... Oh, he puts it down, yeah.
That's fair dues. He's still got 690. Is, still a full table.
That's what I mean.
That is indicative of how beat the presenter slots is that you get up to the 320, 640 level with everyone still in it, because everyone is tight as.
So tight, it's
unbelievable. But this, I believe, could be action stations. Mr. Hooch on a mission to preserve has run into Harwick with Pocket Rocket.
Yes, I remember this when they both turned over. It was like everyone was going, ouch! Nothing piece I can do about this.
I'm enjoying this, Lyndsay. There's no poker jokes, there's no sunglasses. This is what I'm enjoying.
Now,
Lyndsay, you probably want to think about this for a while.
Yeah, just think,
Queen 5, it's, you know, it's slightly below average.
No,
Well,
Peter's got no choice, has he?
No, there's too much money to be made. There's only one hand that he's got to fear. And there it is, the ace is a king, he's saying. Just a king.
Yeah.
All I need really is a king. Could I have a king? Just a king, that'd be fine.
Just what?
No, or an 8.
No.
Okay. Well, Peter, hang on to your statistics, son. Because I'm afraid there's no money for you tonight.
He didn't do badly though, did he?
Well, to be honest, and to go out kings, there's only one hand you've got to fear, and Harwick's got it. I mean, 220 to 1. But there it is. God bless it.
Queen Jack for the Hornster.
Oh, hello. We're inventing our own nicknames, are we? Lyndsay, but most people call me Hornster. 240, she has set the trend for the betting.
Trying to sound like a proper player now.
And just slightly underdogs.
I was going club.
Well, actually,
club.
that's the last thing you want,
but it
isn't
doesn't
it?
matter
Yeah,
because he's got a
make any odds.
queen, and that was...
Ooh, hello. Well, our friend Bulgarian. It's not a big pot, but then neither of you really had... Lucky you didn't have much money left
But looking at it now, you'd think I'm going to be next out, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
No, I never would presume thus. Don't forget, I was actually watching over your shoulder as well, so it's really not... I'm not Darren Brown or anything. Just in case anyone was worrying. Look into my eyes ran out. Lyndsay, 4-7, suited. Good lay down with your 280 left. Harwick, King Queen. I hate King Queen in this situation, frankly. Big bet ahead of you. You're gonna be out of position. If you fear Ace Queen or you fear Ace King, then you know that one of your cards is dead, but you don't know which one. I'm happy to throw that away. I've got no qualms with that.
Yep.
Throwing King Queen away in that position.
Good lay down.
8s. God bless you. Lucky 8s. Come on, Vidal. Let's shift some shoveling.
You just make these up as you go along, don't you?
Shh. No one's noticed. I don't know any real poker sayings. I'm just making them up. Come on, 8s.
Let's shift some shovel.
Yep. 8s, the shoveling hand of snow men. A few hundred, it's nice.
Now, what are you going to do, sausages?
He's going to go all in. He's had enough. No, he hasn't. Well, sausages has got a little bit of it, and now he's got quite a large part of it. Vidal, I think it might be a bit late to come whittling in with your 80. I mean, it's like we said to whoever it was, I apologise, I forgot that asked earlier on about pairs. You've either got to make a move with it, or you've just got to not play that sort of hand. But to kind of dribble and check and dribble and fold, it's like, well, if you're going to make that move, you can't wait until after the turn when there's 3 hearts and an ace.
Yeah. We don't like dribblers.
No, we're not keen on the dribblage. 7 for sausages. Be interesting seeing how sevens, how sausages wants to play them.
Look at those lines now, AC 160.
I know, and we're only 1 player down.
It's like Pac-Man coming round to get me.
It's inevitable. Bulgarian on 400, yourself on 280, and I do believe that the next hand you're going to be the big blind.
Yes, I am.
Which is going to be a sizable chunk of thy chips.
Yeah.
So no doubt you're going, just aces, just aces,
something.
just aces, just aces will be fine.
Anything.
No one will ever suspect you've got a killer hand.
Thank you, I said at that point.
And the good news is, a quick glance from the Poker Night Live blimp.
No one got anything, so they just
Folded
and I didn't...
Yeah, but that's, you know, you want to be all in there, really.
I wanted someone to call me and double up there, hopefully. I wanted someone to think that I was only all in because I was that desperate, and to call me with, like, double top had 7-2, and he doesn't do it. And I was really annoyed with you there, double top.
I feel your pain.
Because I could have took him out there. Like a bulldozer.
What, the Hornster? in effect, nines, ace jack, ace 10 suited, king queen suited, ace 8 suited. I know I'm effectively just reading out the cards you can see, but bear with me. No surprise there. Not going to be too surprised if Vidal just goes, well, you've hardly got any chips left, so I'm going to go all in. Sausages might go, oh, come on in. There's lots of money here. Harwick might go, yay. You could see like a good number of people here. Harwick saying, do you know what, I really like this before. Yeah. 16 people went all in.
But it's a great pot to win.
Throws it down, fair dues. You could make a lot of money out of this pot with ace 10 suited, but you could also do some damage. Yeah. Harwick has got everyone covered here, so he knows that the worst that can happen is he loses chips, but actually, fight it out then, fellas. There's your nines. Well, there goes your flush draw, I'm afraid. Bulgarian. Tens, 8, 2, 4, 3, and the nines hold up. And we lose 2, and Sausages is laughing. Yeah,
Porky takes it with the nines.
The porkster, wrapping it up with some gammon. No, that I did make up.
Yeah, we lost 2 there. Yeah. And I'm still in, believe it or not.
But to be honest, that's the thing. And again, it's paying attention to the game. We've already made the comment. You've got, as we always see the big presenter, you've got to a quite deep level with everybody in. And there's no way that you can still have a full table and not have at least 3 or 4 people that are quite short stacked.
Now, Sausages actually said at this point in the chat box, I'm getting odds to call, I have to. Sorry, Lyndsay. A comment he was to possibly regret.
And he knows that he's an underdog. Sadly, one of his cards is dead here. You know, the fact that you've got the 6. He's got the draw for the flush, which doth not appear. You've got 640. Yeah. But the point I was going to make is when you've got that many people short stacked, there are going to be opportunities to treble up, if not more so. You know, like Sausages there, he doesn't just get an all-in, he's got 2 all-in, potentially more behind him. With the nines, it's worth a go. Yeah,
because no, that's you know what he said. He said it's worth it, and I think then he saw.
And his call there is right. He is getting odds. Yeah. It's a hideous hand he's got. He's unfortunate to find that you've actually matched up one of his because it means he really, really is drawing against the percentage. But he's just accumulated some chips. He may as well see if he can take you down. He'll be a hero. Live. The double. Yeah. You're the big blind already. See, that's the only problem with these people getting knocked out. Yeah,
it comes round so quickly.
They're not supporting your time in the blinds. Tens. 480. Harwick, it's not the worst hand, but again, he's probably thinking, I'm safer than double top and Lyndsay here as far as chips goes.
It's a bit like I was waiting for us all to knock each other out.
Exactly. I was watching some World Series stuff earlier on, and it was quite horrible watching people that weren't involved in the hand just standing up cheering when 2 other people got into a fight and one knocked out because they knew it meant they'd moved up from 412th to 411th going, yes, in your face. But the truth is, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and hello. An 8.
2 pairs on the board.
An 8, you have hit a full house, you cheeky monkey. A 10? No. I'm sure Mooncat was extraordinarily kind to you in the chat box at this point.
Yeah, well, no, he's very gracious, actually.
Well, good on you, Mooncat. That's what we like. We like a bit of manners. You lived it. Look at this.
Although, even if the other 8 hadn't come, would I still have won anyway? Because there would have been 2 pairs on the board with the aces, the 8s, and the jack kicker. Oh, no, because he would have had aces, 10s. Exactly, yeah, of course.
Yeah, you was lucky. But there you go. Isn't that what poker's all about? And all of a sudden, I'm sure it was always your plan. But here you are, fiendish with your 1280. Double top's got a puppy of a hand on the big blind, on the button. It's nice to get a big hand on the button because you can actually make a bigger raise. Normally with an ace king, you're worried about not getting paid off. If you think, I'm going to win this hand, this is a good hand, you won't get paid off. At this stage, you might not find you can make a sizable bet. When you're on the button, you're making a bigger bet, and a lot of people are going to give that a 50-50 chance that you're just trying to steal the blinds. So it's something to think about. If you've got a premium hand and you think, I can't make this bet too big because I'll scare people off, if you're on the button, you actually might get some more action because people will give a certain degree of disbelief to your move because they think you're just trying to steal. Won't work early on because the blinds are not big enough that you would risk the chips to do it. But at this stage, the blinds are, they're scary. Sixes there versus the queens. And Mooncat, that Lyndsay crippled, goes out in
now,
5th place. And we're on the bubble.
It's the bubble.
And you're not in the worst shape ever. The blinds are going to chew your face off, but Double Top is in more trouble. He's in one of those nice situations where you really don't want to play what you've been dealt in the big blind and everyone folds around to you. You're now a big chunk of chips in with 8-3 suited. Harwick makes a move, ace-9, understandable, and again it's on the button. 480.
Now, King-3 suited.
Ah, and unluckily,
Look
I don't know if you've
there.
noticed this yet,
Yeah.
but Sausages has got a hand.
Yes. What a hand to walk into with your King-3 suited.
Hey, you've got 2 live cards, all you need is 3 of a kind, straight, flush, miracle.
That's it.
Not the cards. 2 kings, runner. I think you're dead.
Sayonara, Hornster.
The Hornster, she's the bubble girl. Well, they are full house, aces full of 9s. If you're going to lose in style.
Yeah, yeah. What a hand to walk into at that point, though. On the bubble. Bubble girl, there I am.
Hey.
Never mind.
But you've demonstrated that you know, chip in a chair.
I pulled back into it.
That 8, that whole thing
Yeah.
with the 8s, that was...
I should have been out a long time before that, really.
Not in poker.
Technically speaking, yeah.
Not in poker. In any other sport, yeah, you'd be off on a stretcher. In poker, all it takes is a couple of decent draws and,
Yeah.
and a few double ups.
So at least I got a good game out of it. And I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
There you are.
Now then,
4th place. So here are the boys.
in the money.
Meet the boys who are going to be going ha ha ha, no doubt in the chat box at this point. They're all in the money. Double Top going, oh thank God I'm in the money, I was just about to run out of chips.
Yeah, well, Double Top was very happy at that point that I went out on the bubble and not him. Because Harwick and Sausages had decided that it was going to be either me or Double Top who went out first. They'd already decided
Yeah,
that.
well they did have the chips sustain. That's the thing is, again, you've got to be aware of the chip stacks around you. And when you've got 2 short stacks, you know that by design or by blinds, they're going to be all in and they're probably going to fight against each other. This is an interesting hand. Ace-9 versus a pocket 10s. All of a sudden, the pocket 8s, he was about to make a move, but these guys could do some damage to each other. Harwick could be out here and I could go from 3rd place to 2nd. I'll dump the 8.
Yeah.
The 9 comes down. It needs to be a 9 or an ace for Sausages. But it is not, and Harwick picks himself up a set of 10s. Double Top's going, oh, thank God I didn't play that 8.
Yes.
And it's tough. It is tough because I'm sure you're in that position. You look down at the 8s and you think this is it, and then suddenly there's all this action ahead of you, and you've suddenly got to totally reevaluate how much you like your hand. It's one of the things you can't do online. Is in live play to not look at your cards until it's your turn to act is the best thing to do because you don't have any plans.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Is if I look down and I see 8s, and I think lovely, and then it goes raise, re-raise, re-raise, all in. All of a sudden my 8s have changed.
Yeah.
Whereas if you take into account all the action and then you see your cards, you kind of have a...
See, that's a really good thing to think about, actually, because you can tell I'm a new player, because I'm like, what have I got? What have I got?
Yeah, and the other thing is actually, we're just tuning in here as Double Top goes all in with the... I can't imagine Harwick's going to risk his 4.7 thousand chips with bottom pair.
Yeah. Thinking
He's
about
not gonna,
it.
no, he's not going to call this. It's too much of his stack. No, it's no good. But the other thing about looking at your cards early is if you've got any tells, if you look at your card as soon as you've got them, everyone that acts, you've got enough time to get shaky hands, jittery, looking at your chips, you know, that's another thing you'll find.
Whereas
if
you've got no idea, you're just as calm
it's
as
not a
anything.
big deal, but it's just don't look at your cards till you have to.
Yeah.
Because also, if as soon as you get your cards, the guy opposite you who's like across the table and who's got to make a move, you're looking at your cards, you don't get any chance to see his reaction to him seeing his cards.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it's not a huge point, but it's...
No, it is something
You
to
look at
think
the
about,
guys, again, watching my World Series video today, and it's like, none of these guys like get their cards and immediately look at them as
because
soon
you
as they've
can't
dealt
look
out.
at your cards and decide what you're going to do before you've even seen what the betting is, and because you've already decided, you'll still do it even though it's the wrong thing to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd say that your cards aren't going anywhere but all these guys looking at their cards, their reactions, they're looking at their chips, all that sort of stuff. If you're really busy looking at your raggy hands that you are going to throw away anyway, you're going to miss some information.
Got an email. Hi Matt and Lyndsay, could you give a shout out to everyone still wading their way through the Dream Poker $15,000 free roll, 5,000 players down, 700 to go, and this is from G. Alden. He said the show is a good talking point at the tables. Keep up the good work.
Excellent stuff.
Nice. Good luck everyone who's still in.
Sausages has meanwhile got aces and queens, and double top leaves us in third place, so looks like the boys were right. It was indeed the boy double top that went out in third. So these guys are fighting for 50% and 30% of the total prize pool. What was this buying, by the way? What was this tournament?
It was a $2.
It was a $2.
Although on these TV tables, the Beat the Presenter games especially, it doesn't make any difference to the standard play.
No. You may as well be playing a $200 buy-in, how tight people are in this. So 6 is Sausages has got a bit of it. He is underdog on the chips. Hardwick is going to bully him around. Sausages gone, yeah, all right then. There's a queen.
Oh, there you go.
Well, 3 of a kind. Now, what would the sit and go be without lots of pipe cleaners all getting it on? Let's have a look at the chip movement graph. Okay, it's an orgy of pipe cleaners. Look at that.
Oh, look, and the red. Look at it go.
Where's the red? Yeah. Make of that what you will.
There you go. But well done. Good tournament.
Yeah,
well done to everyone who played.
An interesting game. I think that's the thing, isn't it? You're always looking for an interesting game to watch, and that was good to see you right down to a couple of hundred and a couple of bang bangs. Positive thinking. Glass is half full, not half empty.
Oh well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing it anyway. Well, someone else has been playing tonight, one of our other presenters, Kara, has been playing online tonight, and we've actually got the last part of her tournament. We're on the bubble, so we're going to have a look at Kara's game and see how she gets on. She is, of course, a great Scot when she plays. Let's have a look.
Wowee. Toast rack.
Oh, it's an anagram of her name.
It's an anorak.
Anagram, sorry.
Oh, hello. Oh, this is... Oh, what an accidental moment we've joined her just in time to see her hitting a bingo hand. I've just been told that an anagram of my name is Hot Bog Tantrum, which I have heard many times before.
I want one of my name.
Really?
Yeah. If anyone can think of an anagram of Lyndsay Horne.
Or if anyone can think of a better anagram than Hot Bog Tantrum.
8422 is the text, or email poker@pokernightllive.co.uk.
You really want an anagram now, didn't you?
Yeah.
Cara's got Toast Rack, that's Hot Bog Tantrum.
King 10. Now then.
So this is our very own, this is TV's very own Cara Scott, Toast Rack to you and I, in the money. Do we know what the buy-in was, I wonder? Don't know what this is. This is
$5.
$5.
Go Cara, in the money. Oh. Go Cara.
And if anybody would like to use one of the online anagram name generators...
Oh, is there one online? I thought people were just being creative.
I might point you in the direction of Nick Wealthall. I'm not going to read out on air what that is, but you might want to find out for yourself. And post it on the forums.
Oh, I thought people were being clever. I didn't realise a computer did it for you.
No, these days just Google everything, isn't it? How old's your kids? Hang on a minute, let me get on Google. When's your mum's birthday? Give me just 1 second. Oh. See, now this is more like it. 326.40 with 3 players left.
Yes.
None of your beats. See, that's the thing.
That's what I mean. The $2 tournaments I play at home are completely different to the ones on Beat the Presenter. No, completely different.
Like I said, I had such a, after last night, I had such a bashing of faith. I had to play games today just to prove to myself that I am somebody that knows how to play poker, because the games are very different. But here she is, under the radar, slinking in. If they knew she was TV's Great Scott, they'd be all over the chat box.
Yeah, that's why I was just using a different name.
I think it's just the chat box, you know. I just don't pay any attention to the game when I'm doing the thing.
It does distract you completely.
I had lots of complaints about, apparently, during the Beat the Presenter last night, all you could hear was me clacking away on the typewriter like a spaz.
I got told to type quietly tonight.
That says a lot. Oh, well, Toast Rack. She could run into a bit of resistance here. And what a trooper. I mean, it's a night off. She doesn't have to do this.
Oh, good put out.
I'm on with Kara, in fact, on Thursday night.
Yes, back from Canada she is.
Yeah.
She must be getting some practice in before Thursday.
Exactly, good stuff, isn't it?
And doing well.
There's Michelle down a live game last week. All the girls getting into it. We like a bit of that. It's all good. I think Michelle's got her eye on this seat. I think she fancies taking Casper on in some deep zen poker.
I couldn't cope with the pressure.
Just make up words. Toast rack, giving it up. Well, in just a few hands here, we've seen Frank surging ahead. A7, not much there for Kara to get involved in. And of course, now we've totally blown her cover by issuing forth her online name.
Oh, I'm sure she won't mind.
Oh, a little bit of attention, a few rude emails. A7's good enough. Nice, picks up a 2,240 blinds. Obviously, part of that was his bet. 6-8, no thank you. 10-4, could well be a no thank you. But decides this is the hand to put it all in. And Frank has got himself 9s and 7s, only a 10.
No. And Kara?
And ace there, of course, would also have given Frank that with the better kicker. No, it wouldn't, tell a lie. Just trying to give people imaginary odds when they don't exist. 6-7 suited connectors. Plenty of value in that kind of hand, to be honest. But decides to wait. Second place. Pocket 7s for Frank. Entirely playable heads up. Uh-oh, and Kira's now given up blinds that are really big percentages. She'd be better off to go all in with anything.
Good hand, though, at that stage.
Because now there's no chance that Frank's not going to call, and if he outdraws her, which he could in a number of ways, flushes, straights. Ah, okay, well, hey, Kara.
Well done, second place.
Second place, making more money than either of us.
Yeah, good, well done, Kara, enjoyed that. You know Big Red Fred, who sent the poems in before?
What, our very own poet?
Couple more. There was a girl player called Lyndsay who kept calling players or Lynns. She was being quite bold, doing what she's been told, and laughed at her 2 TV wins.
Hey!
There was a girl player called Shell who really is playing quite well. She just didn't care when she held her big pair. With that thought, I bid you farewell.
Hey!
Very good.
If only we had some cheap tat to give away, you'd be the winner.
Right, let me get a quick email in now for you. Lucy has sent an email in. Lucy White says, could you give me your opinion on a hand I played last night? It was a 10-seater, 25 pence, 50 pence, no limit table. I was on the button with King Queen off. 3 people limped in front of me. I also limped in, and the blinds made up the numbers. The flop was King King 6 rainbow. Everybody checked to me, so I figure I'm ahead. So I bet £3. The blinds fold. The next player pauses for an age and calls. I put him maybe on a weak king. Everybody else folds. The next card is a 9. Player 1 checks. I bet £10. He again pauses and then calls. I'm getting worried now that he's flopped the full house and is slow playing. The river card, the beautiful river card, is a queen. And I've hit a biggie full house. He again checks. I decide to show weakness and push out a £2 bet, hoping he'll go over my head. Sure enough, he fires in a £25 raise. So I figure he must have a lesser full house. I decide he'll call if I put him all in. A further £40. Sure enough, he calls and I take all of his money. I was amazed, however, when he showed Ace King. He called me some names unsuitable for broadcast. Was I very lucky, as he thought? Or did he play the hand badly, as I thought? Especially on the river when he bet so much and was well short of the nuts. I still can't understand why he played the hand the way he did. Sorry about the long saga, don't be sorry. Lucy, very interesting email there, thank you.
It kind of proves the point we said earlier on, and we've said all the time, which is that if you want to limp in, if you want to try and slow play and disguise your hand, because the guy's playing ace king, well of course he's going to play ace king, he's flopped the set with the best possible kicker, and he's decided to sort of meander around, and he's got outdrawn. And that's the only problem, is that if somebody's betting into you, why would somebody else be betting into you on a flop with 2 kings? You've got to put them on a king. Brilliant, because you've got the ace. The more cards that come down, the more chance they have of pairing up their second card. So the truth is, I don't think you played that badly at all. The truth is his trap didn't work. It worked against him. He was thinking he was building the pot up and he was going to cream a load more cash out of you. But the truth is all he did was just like keep letting cards come down. And sure enough, you hit your queen. So on another day, you're the one with ace-king and you play it differently and he outdraws and you go, oh my God, I can't believe the river. But the truth is he was opening the door to let you do that by never actually pushing back at you. So no real complaints. I think he was wrong to berate you. The money's yours, take it.
Especially with bad language.
Disgraceful. We don't like that online. Not to a lady. Was it a lady? Yes, Lucy.
Yes.
We don't like that, oh no.
No, but thank you for your email, Lucy. If you've got any questions, 84222, it's our text number. Put the word poker at the start of your message. Or email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Well, we've got a break coming up. We've got loads of emails and texts to get through later on, so we will be back. But before we go to a break, we're going to speak to Mike Lacey again from antisup.com. So stick around and we'll see you very soon. Are you there, Mike?
I'm still here.
Oh, you're still there. I know you're dying of flu, so I really do appreciate you talking to us tonight.
No problem.
Now, you've got a lot going on over in Ireland in the poker world at the moment, a lot to keep you going, is that right?
That's right. The website will be busy reporting from a few events coming up. There's a €5,000 buy-in event in May in the Fitzwilliam Card Club. That should be quite interesting.
€5,000 entry?
€5,000 entry, yeah. It's,
where is that going to be held, in Dublin?
In Dublin, in the Fitzwilliam Card Club. I believe you have one in the Gut Shot over in the UK there a few weeks beforehand. It's the same series of events as that.
What sort of number of runners do you expect for that 5,000? Is this a long-running tournament or is this a new one?
It's a brand new tournament, so we've never had a €5,000 buy-in tournament as far as I'm aware over here. The most it's been was 4,000 for the European Poker Tour back in October. But there's online qualifying going for this, and those kind of buy-ins will bring a lot of people to Ireland, so it won't just be the Irish market that's playing this tournament.
Was there a large American contingency for the Irish Open? What sort of percentage of the players came from outside the UK?
There wasn't that many from outside the UK. There was a few Scandinavians. As I said, Bellagio has a big tournament which started on Tuesday, and the Irish Open didn't finish till the Monday, so you couldn't really play both. So a lot of the Americans and bigger name Europeans would have been over in the Bellagio. But this one doesn't really clash with anything, so there should be more players over for this.
So you're expecting a really big turnout for that one?
Yeah, well, they can take up to 240 players because it's a 2-day starting, so 120 people each day.
And do you fancy a bit of that yourself?
Yeah, but I won't be buying into that one directly. I'll get out of my bankroll.
You'll be using your connections. Using your connections to, get a favour here and there.
Yeah, well, you never know what can happen. I managed to get into the Irish Open, so we'll see what happens with this one.
Well, everyone's got a chance if there's lots of online qualifiers.
That's right, and there should be a few there. And there will be a lot of the bigger players over as well, because it doesn't really clash with anything. Plus, it's being shown on TV, which is attractive for all the sponsored players. And then following on from that, in the beginning of June, we have the Irish Poker Championships final, which is another 3,200 buy-in event.
All right, another big one.
And that's another big one, and there's been a lot of qualifiers over here, so there'll be a lot of Irish players in that tournament, as well as people coming from all over Europe and maybe America as well.
So is that in Dublin as well?
That's in Dublin as well. This one's in a hotel, though, not a card club. A lot of the tournaments over here are held in hotels because we can do it over here. You can't really do it in the UK, but it means you can hold a bigger tournament.
How many venues are there? How many kind of key venues are there over there that these events take place in?
Well, in Dublin there's 3 card clubs, 3 major card clubs. There's loads of smaller ones all over Ireland. But the major events tend to be held in hotels. The Irish Open was held in Juries in Ballsbridge, and there was 35 poker tables in one room, which makes it much easier to run a tournament. Yeah. And there are loads of hotels in Ireland that can take that capacity, so it's just down to the organiser as to where they can get a deal and they can run a poker tournament.
And you yourself, you're actually in the middle of a tournament right now, I understand.
Yeah, I run poker tournaments as well. This is just a small pub tournament. There's about 40 players sat down at the moment playing a €50 rebuy tournament.
You sound like you're well up for it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately I can't play in this one, but interested enough running it as well.
What about the rest of the island? What about the rest of Ireland, or is this team mostly centred around Dublin?
Well, Dublin's where most of the bigger events are going to be. There are some big events in Cork, which has a very good club called the Macau Club. They have a tournament coming up in August, which is €1,000 entry, and they normally have 2 or 3 of those that size every year, and they can be well supported, and they get a lot of visitors from the UK as well for that. But the main tournaments are in Dublin, really.
That's a good thing about these big tournaments happening in Dublin, because you could fly over from over here. You know, half an hour it takes to get over there on a flight, and
absolutely,
yeah,
so
half
easy.
an hour, and for 1 cent or something like that usually.
Yeah.
Flights are very cheap, and the airport's not far away, so it is a great location to have a tournament.
Absolutely.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for talking to us tonight. We'll let you get back to your tournament. Good luck with that, and hopefully we'll speak to you very soon. We're going to take a short break now, but we will be back. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm Lyndsay Horne, joined tonight by Matt Broughton, or if you use an internet anagram generator, Lenny Horsey, and Bang Hot Rum Tot.
No, I prefer Grab Hot Mutton.
Oh, I could be Henry Lyons also. I like that one though. Bang Hot Rum Tot. That's what I'm going to call you tonight. Bang Hot.
My Red Indian name.
Matt Bang Hot. Right. We're here with you till 2 o'clock watching live internet poker. We're also taking your questions and comments. It's amateur night tonight, so we've got lots of good emails to get through. I'm going to get a couple in now. I've had a text off Ian who says, with single table tournaments, is it a one-off payment for the game?
Yes, well, this was our chap that came to us a bit earlier on saying how much does it cost. Again, it really depends what you're playing. I would suggest to you that that's what you want to look for, is the one-off payments. You will find they're referred to as freeze-outs, or when you look on the lobbies, it will just show you there's a one-off payment, that's your lot. There are tournaments that are rebuys, which we spoke about a bit earlier on, where you buy in and there's a limited period where you can keep topping in. Go for the freeze-outs, because then you just know exactly what it is. If it's $2, if it's 50 cents, whatever you're playing, that is all you're going to part money with, whatever I meant to say there, but that's all it's going to cost you. No more added fees or hidden bonuses. So that's the thing to look for, freeze-outs.
But thank you for your text, Ian. It's nice to hear from you. I hope that's helped you out. Peter Hooch has been in touch, who played in my Beat the Presenter tournament. Nice to hear from you, Peter. He says, great show as always, guys. I just thought I'd write a quickie to say, yeah, I got on Beat the Presenter at last. He says, boy, sometimes you can just smell those pocket aces. Grr. I jokingly typed in the chat box to Harwick, got ace-ace there, mate, when I had those pocket kings. Never mind, I'm sure I'll one day win my first TV tourney. And he says, and lucky on the bubble again, Lyndsay, tonight. Thank you again tonight. I won the last 2, did you not see? He said, yeah, don't mess. He says, think I'll stick to the $2 multi-table tourneys, as I've turned my initial $5 deposit into $200, nice one, over the last 3 months, and that's just by playing the small sit-and-goes and small MTTs. And he says, I think Matt looks a bit like George Michael. Can you get him to sing us a bit of Wake Me Up Before You Go? And he says, oh, I'm only joking, Matt. That's from Peter Hooch, woof woof. Go on,
no,
it's a bit of Georgie.
For legal reasons, I won't be doing that. We can't
Aww.
afford the copyright. No, I won't do that.
Lucy Goosey has sent an email in and says, love the show. I was playing in an 8-seater sit and go the other night. I was on the button. It was the second hand of the tourney. I had ace-queen suited. The blinds were 10-20. There was one raise to $80. I raised to $160 on the original raiser, went to $480.
Oh.
What would you do? I called, the flop came 3-3-4. You bet $550. I had $900. What would you do? Fold or call? I called, as I wouldn't be out of the tourney. The turn was an 8 and the river was a 9. Would you consider my plays being loose? He turned over a pair of queens and everyone said I was loose. It might have been bad play, but I wouldn't call it loose. The wrong image might not be a bad thing to have.
Wow. You'll have to take my word for this. As I read through that, I would have said that at the point where you make your raise and he re-raises, so the blinds are only 10-20, one raise to 80, so that's our standard sort of 3-4 times the blind. To then double it and then get almost you're getting triple of that bet back. I think you've probably got to put somebody on ace king, pair of kings, pair of aces, pair of queens. You know, they're not mucking around. For the second hand of a tournament where the blinds are only 10-20, I think to call with ace-queen suited there, I think you are beat, personally. And I think it's very easy to see that you're beat in the second hand. To actually play it to the flop, fair dues, you're in the flop, you've decided to get involved. For the flop to come down and still somebody betting at you, I'm now quite convinced. The 3-3-4 is irrelevant to me. I think they've got a pocket pair. They've got you beat here. To hit that ace on the turn, I think I would be jumping up and down if I played my queen so aggressively, doing all the things we talk about is don't give people the option to get in cheap and outdraw you. This player really has made it ludicrously expensive for you with nothing more than ace-queen against the flop that's provided you with nothing. So it might be bad play, but I wouldn't call it loose. The truth is, you're in a tournament, that early stage, to go right back to the beginning, it's 10-20. At the point where you raise it to 160 and you get that massive re-raise, if you decide to get out of the hand there, you've got loads of chips. You've still got whatever you've got there. You've got like 900-ish chips depending on what you start with.
They put dollars on there, but it's chips, isn't it? Because it's a tournament. So when she's saying, I bet $550, she means chips. Yeah,
so obviously we don't know what your investment is. So if it's a relatively cheap tourney, maybe you just fancy it, but you don't sound like you've made this move because you just fancy it. It's like you seem to think this is worth getting in for. I would suggest that at that point, right early on, you've made a raise with there's been a raise, you've made a re-raise, there's a re-raise. That guy making that re-raise in the face of those bets is not mucking around. An ace-queen, just for me, isn't strong enough on the second hand of a tournament with the blinds 10-20. If you let that go, you've got so many chips you can live to fight another day. As it goes, it worked in your favour, but you were fighting against the odds there, and I'm not surprised that that's the story, is that he turns over a pair of queens, because I think anybody playing that early in a tournament, that ferociously, has clearly got something something good to play with. Loose, you don't seem to think it's loose. I think that's reasonably loose.
What do you expect with a name like Loosey Goosey?
Yeah, you're asking for trouble, really, aren't you?
But thanks for your email.
Yeah,
good email. I've had a nice email of Ian who says, congratulations on an excellent show. The awards are truly deserved. Ooh. My point is that even though you didn't make the money tonight, Lyndsay, in the Beat the Presenter tournament, you played okay and took defeat amicably. It was quite noticeable that you took defeat on the chin and didn't complain about the betting slide up or turning the computer off with your foot. Well, no, I got past the making excuses stage a while ago. You've just got to get over it.
Yeah, no, Michelle still has trouble with that slider.
I tried that one, it doesn't work. Adrian says, great show. Lyndsay, you look divine as usual. Oh, thank you, Adrian. Been so nice tonight for some reason. I'm just waiting for someone to email in and start having a go at me. He says, anyway, it was interesting earlier that what you were saying about how, if at all, to play ace-jack off in different positions. As you were talking, I was dealt that hand in first position. I called a reasonable raise to see the flop five-handed. I missed the flop completely, and because of my bad position, didn't feel I could do anything. If I had the same situation without you talking at the time, I would probably bet into it, hoping to improve. Just to say what a good piece of timely advice it was. It really helped me save my money, and a big thank you for that.
Well, there we say it's not just the hands, it's the position. Ace-jack in late position, you think you can make a move with it. It's not the worst hand to make a move, but in early position, it's a bit like our story previously. Somebody, lots of money involved, doesn't hit the flop, first to act. What do? If you bet, somebody re-raises, you're dead. If you cheat and you try and push it and bluff, and then, you know, position is what will get you into trouble more often than the hand you're holding. Because most of the time we know that hands don't really develop. They start off strong and they remain strong. If they improve on the flop, then actually that's against the odds. Mostly you don't improve on the flop, so you have to be in an early position with a stronger hand than you would in late. Just watch out for it. Ace-jack is beaten by a fairly large list of hands, and if you chuck into any of the online calculators, you'll see it's in most situations it's not that strong. But interesting to hear, and good to know that Lyndsay saved you some money. I'm sure when she receives her check in the post, she'll be very happy.
Thanks for that, bang hot rum tot. I've got an email of DVD436 who says, hey, I had an interesting situation come up today and I was wondering what you think. I finished MCT, came fourth, which is very pleasing, I'm sure it was. Anyway, with 6 players left, I was all in, bar 800 chips on the big blind for 60,000 as it was a turbo tourney. One player called all in and another had the chips just to call. I had 7-5, the flop came Jack 8-2 rainbow and someone raised me all in. I folded and was left with only 800. The other guy, who was all in, got knocked out, and I was now fourth at worst. My thinking on the fold was that maybe the other all-in player would go out and I would get more money for fourth than fifth. However, the turn came a 5 and the river a 7, which would have won me the pot. My question is, should I have called? I felt there was more value in the fold, gaining me a place, and the blinds were so high if I could have survived the small blind. Others might have been forced out before me, again making me more money. My question is, do you think I made the right play?
Well, the question that says, should I have called? Well, yes, because we know now in retrospect that you would have made 2 pair and win it. But at the time, it's an interesting question. We have this conversation a lot about when do you just give up your hand to move a position. It's a multi-table tournament, so I'm going to imagine there's quite a few people playing. So probably the difference between those top 6 spots is sizable. In the face of Jack 8-2, when you're holding 7-5, you can't imagine at that stage that you are going to go on to win the pot. And it really depends what you're playing to do. If you're playing at that point thinking, there's nothing I can do, you haven't got enough chips to make a move. So you really are, if you get involved, even though most of your chips are already in there because of the big blind, 60,000, you've got 800 left. I think the truth is you've got to realise you're not going to win that, and probably I would have done the same thing. You think, I'll let these guys fight it out. Your chips are gone. 7-5 is not a hand you can have a huge expectation in. And if it's going to move you up a slot in the money, that might be quite a big deal. That might be quite a large amount of profit. On another day, you feel like you're going to gamble. You don't think anyone's hit it, but you've got so many overcards. A lot of people will say, well, you've got so much money invested in it. You have to follow it up. But the truth is, if you can just let it go and move up a position, then good luck to you. It's going to be a real contentious one. Mr. Banning will say you've got to play to win, but I think in that position you can't expect to win that hand, so you may as well just move up a position and exit gracefully with a bit more money than you would have done if you'd put it all in and the 5 and 7 hadn't come down. So, but interesting, and thanks very much for your email.
Thank you, Grab Hot Muffin.
Always a pleasure, Lenny Noisy.
You're right. Thank you for all your emails and texts. We will get some more later, I promise you. 84222 is the text number. Put the word poker at the start of your message, or email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. But before we do that, we've got our multi-table tournament ready, so let's head back.
Let's see these boys. We're down to our last 8. This is our final table. Congratulations, everybody involved.
Yes.
Oh, Crimson's already in. Bing bong. He's got 7-4 offsuit. It is a powerful hand.
Now, this is...
There you go.
Up here now, Private Members League tourney. 46 runners we started with. $5.50 to buy in. There was rebuys for the first hour and an add-on at the end of the first hour. But now, of course, we are onto the last table. First prize, I can tell you, is $274 smackaroony dollars.
That's not too shabby.
Second place, 164. Third place, 109. Fourth, 82.33. And fifth, 54.88.
And see, that's a very interesting figure. We've just had that email about dumping huge amounts of chips to move up. To go there from 5th to 4th is the difference between going home with... If that guy plays his 5-7, he goes home in 5th place if he doesn't pick it up with $54.
Yeah.
Just by it lasting out some other players that are more active, he goes from 54 to 82. And in a $5 rebuy, that's a fair profit. So that's why it's an interesting argument. Are you playing to win it and come first, or are you playing it to make profit? And in that case, dumping 60,000 chips to be left with 800, if it makes you $30 and money's your motivation, well, that's the move you've got to make. And say, that hand can play out many more times where he's not going to hit the cards that win him the pot. So it'd be interesting to throw that question to some of the other experts on the show and see if they have a different view of it. And while I've been prattling, 2 people have died.
So, down to our last 6. Bubble point.
The bubble.
The bubble, crucial point.
And Crimson, who we just saw make a big move with 7-4 offsuit, God bless you, Squire, is certainly going, help, help. The blinds are 2,000, 4,000.
Just like that.
I've got 5-9, help. Froggy Boy's got the big 8s. Good on you, son.
Yeah, those blinds are pretty crazy now. 2,000, 4,000 Crimsons in dire straits.
Exactly. Well, there's only 2 players, when we always talk about our 10 times the big blind being where you can possibly consider yourself short stacked. Only is that Kiev, Chicken Family up the top in seat 8. Kiev and Froggy Boy are the only guys with more than 10 times the 40 grand that you're looking for. Crimson survives once again. And in fact, there's no longer such a huge difference between him and Making Jam. Evening, Making Jam. These names, aren't they smashing? I am a fish.
They're lovely.
Making Jam, Kiev. I'm starving now. Bit of fish, bit of jam, bit of Kiev. Glass of crimson.
Oh, that would be nice.
Ace 10. Oh, someone's just ruined my menu by 10 minutes. Clev.
It's not chicken
Oh, it's
Kiev.
clay. It's clay. It's not even Kiev. See, you can tell what was on my mind. I only had time for a small spinach bake on the way out tonight.
Oh, is that all you've had?
With chips and onion rings. But you know, I'm a big bloke. Ace King for Froggy in the big blind. Again, I make this point I made before. It's a nice place to have a decent premium hand because until someone does that before you. But when you make the move, the big chip stack, whereas you might normally not get a call,
jack.
People might think you're stealing it. Well, I'm a fish. Welcome to the layer cake, son. There you go. Dominated by Froggy, but
got the jack at the all-important crucial time.
All-important crucial time. Kings, I don't think anybody's actually going to give Making Jam the action. Tell a lie, it's crimson. Welcome to timing. Nope.
Not going to happen this time.
Sixes
he was
and kings.
at the point where he needed to push in though, wasn't he? So
that's horrible. Crimson, what can I say, mate? You're on the bubble. There is no money for you.
No, but well played to get so far.
And I'm sure having me make slightly witty comments about you on telly for 3 minutes probably is not quite the reward you were looking for.
And you should still be very proud. 6 out of 46.
Pride's nothing for hard cash.
I'm trying to make him feel better here.
All right.
You're not helping, man.
No, and Lyndsay's absolutely right. Never mind the hours of toil, all for nothing. You did it for your country.
It's good just as well we've got a bit of female compassion on this show, isn't it?
If
you know,
fancy.
you boys are too tough sometimes.
It's only because we know what's really going through his head. Okay. Bum. Or two-stash. Or some word like that. 10 King as Lyndsay leaves the building. King 6 on the button, no. Jack 4, no. 3-7 offsuit. Not a hand you would normally expect to see winning on the final table. And X.
Fish got ace queen now.
7's in seat 1. There's, you know, this is nice. This is what we like to see. 7's decides
to put them down, yeah.
See, that again might be somebody recognising the difference between 5th and 4th is a sizable part of the profit.
I think he's just going to wait till someone knocks someone else out, climb up the ladder a bit further.
And see, this is where actually it works in XMX's favour, is that all of these guys are on reasonably similar chunks. You know, you've got Froggy Boy and I Am, who are slightly ahead, but Kiev, I know it's clay, but I like Kiev now, and Making Jam. These guys just want to see Demex get into a fight with one of the others. XMX can actually use that to push a bit harder because nobody wants to suddenly double up XMX or give him a sizable amount of chips because they know that then everyone's going to be targeting them. So again, it's like you hate to be XMX right now, but you've also got to realise that it's only going to be a real big hand that fights against you. So you can actually push your luck a bit more.
Yeah. And
you've got more to gain. Yeah, you might accidentally knock yourself out. These guys are not about to take each other on unless you get super lucky and one of these big boys has aces versus kings or ace king versus... These boys are going to sit and wait for you because, to be honest, with the blinds at 2-4, these guys could take it in turns to fold. And, you know, the blinds will come round to XMX who's going to get walloped. Yeah,
it's pushed it in with the 6s. Everyone's folded.
And that's the thing, is these blinds are getting juicy, and all of a sudden he does that again, and Making Jam is now the next target. 8's pushing again.
Yep.
Picks up another 6 grand in blinds.
And he's getting close to Making Jam now. They're both on pretty much.
And it's great because he's now picked up a bit of momentum. Needs to get out of it now. That's good timing. But look, bang, ace 10, ace king, kings. XMX in a minute could find himself having moved up a spot.
Just by taking those blinds, surviving and...
Yeah. Making Jam, I can't believe isn't going to move in. He does. Froggy's, of course, going to call him because he's got him covered.
Ace.
Only the ace.
No.
Which does not come.
And there you go. XMX is...
And he's just proved the point of our previous viewer, who's gone up from winning $54. Well done anyway, $54.88 for your troubles. These guys now are a minimum of 82. The next spot goes from 82 to 109.
Yeah.
So that's, again, the big point. You've got to be thinking, eyes on the prize. You know, I said this to Mark a long while back. We had this conversation about I was in a tournament where I dumped aces to move up into some money.
Yeah.
And he was like, I would never do that. It was actually not that case. It was a weird media tournament where at 10:30, whoever's got the most chips wins.
Yeah.
And I actually had such a chip lead that if I just folded everything, I would win.
Yeah.
And I got dealt aces on the big blind and limped, allowed everyone to limp in. And not only did I end up with the best of it, I actually had the nuts draw.
Yeah.
And somebody bet and I folded. Because it's like, I've already won this if I don't get involved.
Yeah, yeah.
And as much as it hurts me,
it was the right thing to do. Why risk a lot of your chips?
And it's a bit like when we see people that have to qualify in the top 10. It's a different game because you don't need to get into the last 10 with enough chips to go on and win it. You just need to get into the 10. And it's the same here. People treating each step in the cash as a step up the ladder.
Yeah.
I don't need to take you all on and take your chips. I just need to last longer than one more.
Yeah.
It's like the joke, you know, the guys in the jungle being chased by a lion.
No.
And one of them, there's a lion comes towards these two guys, and one starts, he gets out of his backpack and he puts on his trainers. And the guy says to him, you don't think you can outrun a lion? He says, I don't need to as long as I can outrun you. And that's the whole point, is you don't need to win the big race, you've just got to win the next race.
Yeah.
So for these guys, if they're just thinking, I want to move up, you like that?
I did. I was quite impressed with that, Matt.
You know, X to X, if he's thinking, do I need to get involved in every hand that I think I can accumulate chips? Actually, I've just moved up a position by taking a few pots down and hanging on until these guys crash into each other.
It's a bit shady though, isn't it?
It is shady, but
leaving
ultimately...
your mates to be eaten.
Oh, that, yeah. It's just a joke. It didn't really happen. He was fine.
Was he?
Yeah.
But not real.
Yeah. That's the girl, isn't it? Always thinking about the story after the joke's finished. So what happened? I mean, did the lion get him? No, it's just a joke. God, well, that's awful, but with the lion, I mean, he could have got indigestion. Ace 9, well done. X to X. 10s and 9s. All of a sudden, Chicken Kiev, seat 8, he's only got 15 grand left.
Do you think he's got a soft centre?
I think he's got a creamy, garlic-based centre. Ace 2. All of a sudden, Clay is all in. X to X is like, do you know what, mate? I have worked far too hard to double you up. King 2, he's hit his 2s. That's a shame. I was all ready to see Clay go out so I could sing the praises of X to X surviving yet another step up the ladder. But with blinds this big, it only takes a couple of quick crashes and the dynamics change greatly. With the lions and things.
And the frogs and the fish.
The frogs. It's a big animal-based
Animal
thing.
fest.
Ace Jack, I'm a fish. Froggy keeping out of harm's way.
Will he now?
I think so. Unless he thinks, you know, it's still a blind here. 12, might work, yep.
He could have put his trainers on there.
Yeah, he could have done. He could have done. It's, well, as in any move, you run the risk of running into somebody who either does have a hand or fancies pushing back.
A lot of people are going to be afraid to take him on, though, because of the size of his start.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people say that, you know, when you get to final table, your mission is to avoid getting into fights that ultimately can take you out. The problem for Clay is he can't get into any fight that he can survive here.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm a fish, you can fight a couple of these guys, X to X can fight. But Froggy Boy, he's got a big old stack there. He's got himself a flush draw and a pocket pair of 2s, which is currently the best. Not anymore, though. The 7s were going to be a better pair, but Froggy's got the flush. But with the 2, it's the worst flush there is, so he's probably quite right to not invest in it. He only needs to meet one more spade 3 and up.
And he's in trouble. Now he's got the queens.
And here we go again. It's X to X. He could see some position here. Chicken Kiev's going to get out of the way. Ace Jack could even fancy just going, do you know what? I like it. Have it all.
Fish, your mission, if you choose to accept it. No, he doesn't.
Wow. Well, I'm surprised by that, to be honest. Ace Jack on the button. I mean, actually, we know his beat, but even in the face of that re-raise. If you don't like ace-jack at this position, suited, when you've got most of your chips in, what do you like?
Yeah.
But maybe this was the plan. Here we see Clay go all in. I've started talking in that way where I go up at the end of every sentence. Queen Jack fancies making a raise, so now I'm going to go down. I remember on Jim Will Fix It once, there was a kid who said he knew what the scores were going to be by the way the bloke that announced the scores, his voice went. It was very impressive. That will probably mean something to one person listening, but I just throw it out there. The guy go, Colchester City 2, Manchester United, and the kid would go 3. And he was right, because he just knew the way this bloke's voice went from week after week listening to, in the old days when they used to read out the results on a Saturday afternoon. So they got him in to prove his point.
Oh, it's a bit Rain Man.
It wasn't exactly the best Saturday night's entertainment I ever had, but clearly it stuck in my mind. I was probably 6 at the time, it was in 1805. XMX moves up, he's now the second chip position. He is about to get twalloped for the big blind, which is still 4,000, but I don't think he's going to be 4,000 for long. 6 grand in the pot before you even look down. Chicken Kiev's all in with his Queen 9. XMX says, do you know what? Nah. Computer says no.
Computer says no.
Ace Queen? Heavens above. Plonk, 25 grand, says, you want to fight? King 4, good man, throw away. No, even that.
Nobody does.
Even if you steam the blinds, fine. If I think you steam the blinds and I call him, what if I'm wrong? I would be so stupid. 9s, see the good thing here for Chicken is that he can keep making this move, because at some point, the beauty is he's actually getting the hands.
Yeah.
At some point someone's going to say, all right,
You'll just keep doing that, I'm going to call you.
You've got a creamy garlic-based centre, but that doesn't mean you can bully us around.
As long as he keeps doing it when he's got the hands.
Well, that's the thing is, you need the hands, because you can't just do it with momentum alone, because if somebody calls you, but the beauty is if you do get that little run of actually picking up some hands, and 4-handed on the final table, your hands don't need to be that strong to be considered a hand.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. I want that one.
Want to play poker?
You're right. She's cracked, everyone. It's 127 and Lyndsay's gone. Right down the drain. Ace 4 suited. If any diamonds were to come out had I'm a fish decided to come... I'm just going to leave that sentence because it's really not really useful. If I had 6 legs, I'd run faster. Just as useful.
You might trip yourself up.
Depends how evenly spaced across my torso they were. Next question.
This is getting surreal now.
Have you ever felt more alone than right now?
Yeah.
Froggy boy, the blinds, no one's prepared to make a move here. 2-4, these blinds cannot be at 2-4 for much longer.
No. We must have nearly had 10 hands now, surely.
Don't call me Shirley, but I think you're right. Ba-boom.
No, this time, is it?
God, just think in the old days we'd go until 3 AM.
I know. Could have had more fun in games and then I would have got even more delirious.
Jack
I am
10.
like a child, like I get more stupid the later.
You're just getting tired and excited,
yeah.
My sister used to say to me. Now just calm down. You're getting all sweaty, tired and excited.
You're just getting excited because you're tired. But that's ridiculous that your parents used to say that to you. But why? How would I be hyper and excited if I was tired?
Calm, dark side. Well, the up and down straight draw was good enough for I'm a fish to have a prod. He is dwindling in chips a tad. 2-8 suited is not the hand to do it with, which is fine. Froggy boy is just sitting there, pon high.
On his leaf.
On his froggy plinth, going, ribbit.
What do you call them? That's frogs sit on it.
Lily pad?
Lily pad, that's it. On his leaf. I couldn't remember what you called it. Oh.
Okay, well, this... No, see, I'm looking at XMX thinking, well, this might be enough, but 4 grand out of 37. He still has options here. I'm a fish decides not to just go all in, but I don't think XMX is going to go for it, no.
They're all battling for these places now, aren't they? Definitely.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you know, it's a big difference. I know that, you know, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't a mega fortune, but comparative to the buy-in, it's a big return.
Yeah.
For an evening's work, you want to sit on
$5.50.
Yeah, you want to sit on a cash table investing, you know, this reasonably, you know, manageable amount of money and expect to get a few 100% profit. It ain't gonna happen. I think's the point I'm nearly making. So, oh, hello, kings and aces. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
We're going to get some action here whether you like it or not.
Place your bets, place your bets. All in for 28. Chicken Kiev. He's going to like a bit of that. Only a king will spoil the fight now.
Oh, what a way to go.
Well, he's still hanging on there. He's got a small blind left. It is his turn to be the small blind. He's all in by default. He's got an ace. He's got the best of it as we stand. It's an 8 for XMX. Only an ace. Well, congratulations, Chicken Kiev. Do apologise for... I know it's
Clay.
$82 though, and XMX. Mate, you're up in the hundreds. It's where you want to be, up in the top 3.
82.33 for Clay there. Well done. 4th place. 3rd prize, $109.
And I'm a Fish is all in. Is the short stack at the table, but...
Froggy put down his jacks.
4-8. I was just about to say, I can't believe the blinds haven't gone up, and they have just gone up to 4-8, which I'm a Fish is going to be delighted about. Thank you, he'll say. And a couple of these stings in the big blind, and I'm a Fish isn't going to have any decision to make.
He's done very well, Demex, though, because he was very short stacked.
Yeah, and a combination of a bit of aggression earlier on, coupled with a few nice hands and some calls and some payoffs. That pocket aces was more than welcome. These pocket 10s will be just as welcome. And it's great because if he makes a move here, people think, is he stealing because the blinds have gone up? I'm a Fish decides his connected 5-6 is not worth getting involved in. And Froggy suddenly going, hang on a minute, XMX has nearly got as much as I have. Tick tock, tick tock. I like XMX.
I'm a
Another
Fish.
pair of 10s. It's great. It's great when this happens. that was Michelle's theory when we played this game in London last week. She had rubbish hands. It's all right. I get the rubbish hands now, and then later on in the tournament, I get the good hands. I was like, really? Did Casper teach you that? And then, in fact, she went through the whole of the first game, didn't get any hands, and crashed out. That's fine, because in the second game we play, I'll probably get all the good hands there. Good. Good luck with that.
That's how it works.
Actually, she did go on to
She
cash
did,
it,
though.
so,
Yeah, she did well in the second one, didn't she?
Well, there's a 7. The 6 is did not prevail. I'm a Fish. Froggy Boy was hoping to take I'm a Fish out, but in fact all he's done is now put himself on very, very level chip stack with XMX, who I'm liking more and more. But that's because he keeps getting pocket 10s, pocket 5s, pocket aces.
No.
How can you not like a winner? An ace or an 8 would spoil this.
No.
Well, there we go, an XMX, look at this. He's up into second, he's guaranteed at least 164.
He's chip leader now.
But well done to our 3rd place finisher.
Yeah, $109 for I'm a Fish. Unfortunately, he doesn't swim to see another day.
Nice.
But he did very well. 46.
Nice Fish segue. He certainly got his chips.
But unfortunately, he didn't get to second place. He got battered.
Oh! Don't rub salt and pepper in the wounds.
Oh.
Yeah, a bit weak that one, but yeah, it's late.
He fished
No, stop it.
third
No,
place.
just stop, all right? You've had your fun. We'll be on the forums again. You don't want to get on the forums, do you?
No, please. Be nice.
Well, looky. Good old XMX. God bless you, Squire. It's Clash of the Titans, Battle of Britain, something else, War of the Worlds. And I think this, because of the blinds and because of how equal they are, it's going to be fold, deal, fold, deal, fold, deal. We've both got a big hand explosion.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And with that said, Froggy Boy makes a move for 9-7. I'm going to retract all of my previous statements. Well, that's great for XMX, but 9-4 is not a hand that's going to give him any value. It's very hard to know what to do here. Do you make the move knowing that you need another hand to give you some action? Do you slow play it and you risk getting outdrawn? We heard earlier on about the guy slow plays his ace-king, gets outdrawn with a full house. It really is just going to be one of those things where the cards kind of play themselves out.
Waiting for the point where they both get a good hand.
Yep. But Froggy Boy, we've seen, made a few moves, but all he's really ever gaining is the blinds back, and that's not going to be something that takes him to a winning position. It might be that it puts him in a position where he gets to call an all-in and not be totally bereft of chips. But these guys are so close. Even if these guys go all in and one of them loses but has chips left, it's going to be hardly anything. This could be it. Nines. X to Mex. He is actually covered by Froggy Boy just, I think, 4, 5, 6, 126. Yeah. Oh, well. Oh, that's hideous.
That's it.
Oh, well, X to Mex.
Bless.
Major respect. What does he go home with, Lyndsay?
Goes home with $164 and Bully's special prize for first place, $274 for Froggy Boy. But good game by XMX. He pulled himself back into the heads-up situation after being very short-stacked and did very well. But good tournament.
Yeah, it was good, and some really interesting play. Some great sort of 4- or 5-handed action there. Yeah, and nice to see the way those chips can go in. You get to the final table and, you know, the blinds are big enough that anything can happen. So, good stuff. Thanks for entertaining us, chaps, and well done for getting in the money.
We've got lots of your emails here. Big Red Fred's been back in touch with an anagram of my name. He says, Horny Lynds. Lots of thought went into that one. Illy says, her only sin is poker. See what he did there? No. But that's his own, not Googled. I've got an email from Juiced in Rotterdam, good evening, who says, hello PNL team, great show guys. I'm curious as to what you think about the difference in the required level of skill that a player needs in no-limit tournaments and that in no-limit or limit cash games. Having read some of Slansky's books, I believe he's of the opinion that no-limit games are in some sense dangerous for the more skilled player because a rookie's going all in before the flop can negate much of the expertise of the better player. What are your thoughts on this subject?
It's a very good point. It's a massive subject. Thank God this isn't Casper and Mark, because you'd be here all night long, to be quite frank. You're absolutely right with the no limit, especially because of the way people play these days. It's a bit like there was a conversation the other day going on between Nick and another person, because he doesn't talk to himself a lot these days, is that if you're an amateur and you get into a heads up, is actually the best thing to do is go all in blind, because you remove the skill from it. And it's a bit like the no limit, is that people are playing a huge amount of their games, all the chips, the big decisions are going in pre-flop. And of course with no limit, that's the point, is people aren't forced to develop their post-flop play and their reading of players, because it's like, what have I got? We just saw it there, what have I got? Not interested. What have I got? They don't want to get into a pot because they know they can outplay the players afterwards. The difference between no-limit tournaments and no-limit cash games isn't quite so massive. The difference between limit cash games and no-limit games, that's a whole different kettle of monkeys, because it really is, with the limit, you're not going to be able to push people around. You can't use your chips to influence people's decision. It's really about making good decisions, understanding the maths, and you will chase far more hands in limit because you know exactly the price you're getting against the odds of you hitting that hand. There is more danger in no limit because we've seen the best in the world go into a hand with the best of it and get outdrawn. We've seen some amazing outdraws tonight, and that's the beauty. Some people like that element of danger because as well as it working against you and you've got your bad beat story, it also works for you, and most people forget the number of times they've gone in the underdog and actually been rescued by the miracle of poker. But it's a massive subject. You might want to actually save this and send this in again on one of the nights where you've got the big hitters sitting in for the pro nights, because they'll pick this apart for some hours. It's a really juicy subject. Yeah. But very good to hear from you. Thanks for buzzing into us. Thanks
for that, Juiced. Cliff the Invincible says, hello there, I'm really enjoying the show tonight. I've just started play in a World Series of Poker main event free roll satellite.
Wow.
1 in 25 players gets a seat to the main qualifier, in which 2 out of 2,000 entrants win a seat at the World Series of Poker main event. Assuming there are 6,000 runners at the World Series of Poker main event, I have a 1 on 150 million chance of being crowned world champion later this year. 25 times 1,000 times 6,000. Thanks for providing the working out there. I know your teacher always tells you to put your working out down.
Please show working.
Show your working. He says, I think there is much more chance of life after death, but I'll give it a go anyway.
Well, it's an interesting point, but if you speak to any other... well, I spoke to somebody the other day, but all of the good players say that when you look at that field, if it's 6,000 or 5,000, whatever it is, you can instantly cut 60% out of that. They say, you know, take your room full of everyone that thinks they're going to win the World Series. 60% of these jokers don't stand a chance. So if you consider yourself to be a decent poker player, a lot of these guys you don't even need to worry about. So you might find that that comes down to more like a 1 in 75 million, which is good for everybody, I think you'll agree. But ultimately, these qualifiers, what a story you'd have to tell. And we've seen it, Chris Moneymaker in 2003, that was the story he had to tell. Got in for hardly anything, won a qualifier, and to win one of those qualifiers is huge odds to go into then the next level of qualifying and win that. Huge odds. But a lot of people are enjoying these Cinderella stories, and if it's you, can we have some money?
Yeah, and it's still a chance.
It's still a chance. Anyone's got a chance. Could get struck by lightning tomorrow. Just cross your fingers.
I've got an email from Matt who says, great show as always, regarding problems with the slider. Now, let me put you right here. Instead of trying to move the slider by grabbing it with the mouse, left click to the left or right of the slider button and the amount goes up or down depending on how far away from the button on the slide you click. Once you get the hang of this method, it's simple to increase or decrease the sum you want to bet. I hope this helps.
Well, you know, it sounds kind of like there might be a lot of people listening saying, oh, it's just silly. But actually, the truth is you've got to get comfortable with the mechanics of the game. You know, we were talking earlier on about one of our real new viewers and players. Play on the play tables, not just for the poker sake of it, but to get used to the information, where you see for the pot, where you see what hand you've got, what the sequence is, yada yada. And the slider bar, we joke about it, but lots of people do have trouble. And there are some sites I play on where the slider is pretty naff. And if you've got a huge, you know, the slider is always that long. If it's the difference between 20 and 100, that's fine. But if it's the difference between 20 and all in, which is 60,000, that's a lot of increments in between. My best bit of advice actually is to use the box. There's normally a box where you can type in the amount you want exactly. So the sliders can be a pain in the bum. Avoid them at all costs, but there's a little tip for slider management.
Yes, thank you for that, Matt, or slider anorak. We appreciate the
first one. First one we've had. We don't have many slider experts, but if there's any new advances in slider technology, please do keep us informed, Matt.
Yes, but well, because you do sometimes see people, it looks like they're betting funny amounts.
Well, that's why I like the box, because I do like to type in 127. I was going to make 120, but make 127.6. Strange chips appear. People go, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Keeps them guessing, keeps them on their toes.
Double Top has been in touch. Double Top, who plays in the Beat the Percentage tournament. And he says, only Henrys. I think this must be an anagram of Lyndsay Horne. Yes, it is. Thank you for that. So I used to work in a nightclub, and a Henry is an orange juice and lemonade, I think. Thank you for that, Double Top. He says, at least tonight I bet you, Lyndsay. Shame I couldn't get on a table against Matt last night, but the games didn't last long enough. Oh, that's...
Like a knife in my heart. Yeah, no, I just dumped all 16 of the games I played last night. Just, you know, for the kids, you know, something for the viewers. Give them something back. Anyway, moving on.
Do you not want to respond to that further, Matt? Or?
I didn't actually hear the email. I was thinking about something good. It didn't involve me being...
Nice thoughts, nice thoughts. Focus, focus.
Happy thoughts, sunshine, guinea pigs, elephants.
Our little friends, Nicky, Jim and Benji Boy, have been in touch. Hi again. Still looking hot, 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 Lyndsay. And Matt smiling and witty as ever. Oh, bless. Just played our first 3 $10 tourneys and second once and third twice. Well done. Ha, ha, ha. Dead good, they say. Well, we just want to say, if we didn't mention before, what an absolutely brilliant channel you have. The wealth of information you provide your viewers every night is just awesome. And I would tell anyone who asked how I started or where I picked up all of my playing knowledge, I would say PNL. Go on, Matt. Give us a smile.
Well, I have done accidentally, but oh, good. Okay, nice. Brilliant. Hey, do you know what the truth is? It is genuinely nice to hear when people are picking up the stuff from all the different guys that come on the show. If you take that and you turn that into winning poker, then our job is done. I will go home and sleep well. I will anyway, because I'm knackered. But that will send me off with a smile on my face. Keep up the brilliant work. $70 in about an hour. Get in.
Well done, yeah.
What a brilliant sign-off. Get in. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Seems to be doing well, you two, anyway, lately.
Yeah. Where's our cut?
I know. Bonnell, U2.
What, Bonheur?
Bonner U2, who's playing in our MTT, says, "Hi guys, love the show. I really enjoy playing in the PNL private tourney tonight. However, I went out in 14th position to someone who pressed the wrong button and went all in with 5-4 off suit. Please say hello to everyone, especially Making Jam, who made the mistake and knocked me out." Grrr. What a way to go out.
Do you know, I actually must say I have done that, and this is something that's been corrected, but in olden days, when the PCs were steam powered, people hadn't thought about the fact that when you have that kind of preemptive, whenever it comes around to me, just check or fold. And of course, if you went to click on it just as it came your turn, different buttons would appear. So I had done that a number of times where I go to say, check or fold, and it's turned into call 6 million, you go click, and you go, oh, and you call with 7-10 off suit, and you hit 10-10-7, and everyone thinks you are so loose and crazy, you're a maverick. And sadly now I fold unless I've got aces. So that never happens anymore. But it can happen. Watch out for those buttons. They get you every time.
Have you ever done that yourself, where you've hit it? Did you?
Yeah. No, that wasn't. I wasn't just making up that joke to appear witty. No, that's the truth.
True.
Yeah. And luckily now they've oriented so that if something changes underneath your mouse, it's less likely to create a completely different action. But it was. You go to hit check, and it was suddenly turned into call or fold, and you go.
That's never happened to me yet.
But that's why I'm saying it was in the early days of online when they hadn't really sussed out the things that were important and what wasn't. And of course, once enough people had said, "Look, will you please move the buttons?" Because every time I go to check or fold, it suddenly turns into call, all in, sell the house, shoot the kids. So it doesn't happen these days. Sorry about the shoot the kids.
Well, we've not got one long left, but should we squeeze a little bit of cash in before we go?
There's always time for a cash squeeze.
Let's have a little bit of cash. It's coming, it's coming. They're all thinking about shooting the kids there now, poor things.
Well, look, it's late in the evening. 5 people sitting on our 25-50 cash tables. Ace King, it's where you want to be when Ace Queen comes down. Unless, of course, somebody's got Ace Queen. I appear to have just turned into stating the obvious now. You don't want to get shot through the legs.
Big Bob. I think he's any relation to Little Bill.
Oh dear. PLC 26. I'm afraid to say I don't recognise any of the other names, but PLC 26 we've seen a few times before. Welcome to the straight draw, my son. 2.2 to 1. Now 4.8 to 1. Turn into a maths machine at this stage of the evening. In fact, nothing to 1. Well done, mate. You haven't hit a thing. The 3 on the river. The 3 on the river. Oh, it's what we've all dreamed of. You're sitting there going, oh, please, just a 3 on the river.
And there it is. You're sitting there going, 3.
But that's the big thing. When everyone's checked, I don't think anybody's hit anything.
I do that all the time, you know. Say that and will the cards come out. And I do it all the time. See,
I do it the wrong way around. I think that I'm my negative energy. Because what I'm thinking about is what I don't want to see.
Yeah.
Not a jack, not a jack, not a jack. Jack. Who? And it's just, I think I should be just thinking, I've got this one, I make the 8%, no, it's not, jack. So I'm just trying to work out what to think out loud. Not the 10, not the jack, not the 10, not the jack. Bang, happens every time. I'm making it happen. King, in the face of 150, the pot is 450. 2 cards to come. PLC has position. Won't be happy to see that at all. Big Bob was thinking, oh, I can't believe he's called me. Now he's going, thank God he called me.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to slow play out, I'm going to make it look like I don't like the ace. PLC is not stupid. 6 in the pot. Even if PLC gets himself into trouble, he's not going to put a huge amount of chips in. Big Bob could just do with flat calling this, make it look like he's on a draw. PLC, again, it's a cash game, and that's the big difference. We spoke about this in response to a couple of emails. It is different with the cash games because, at worst, you are going to lose some money. It's not like your game is over.
Yeah.
And that's where the maths comes into it, because you get into a situation where you go, do you know what, I know that I'm only going to win this draw, or whatever situation, you know, I don't know, 2 out of 5 times, but it will be profitable enough to make that 2 out of 5 times a good move in the long run. So you can afford to chase more straights, chase more flushes. In a tournament, you're on a flush draw and somebody puts you all in. You're losing, you know you're crossing your fingers, you know you've got 2 to 1 or whatever it is, 4 to 1. Do you want to risk hat, coat, home? Here, I chase it. If I make it, I'm going to make profit. If I don't, it dents my stack, but I live. If
Yeah.
it completely takes me out, I reload and I play my solid poker and I get that bankroll back. And you know, some of the big stake players. I think I was listening to an interview with a guy called Mike the Mouth Mattisau, who's he's a big name player. He's talking about having like 30 grand. I'm 30 grand down today, but yesterday I was 70 grand up, and it's like, well, that's the variance these guys accept.
Goodness.
Beyond my limits.
Different world, isn't it?
It is. It's a different world, but that's what you've got to accept if you're going to play seriously. Up days, down days. Your graph will look much like a mountainous range. No plateaus in this game. Our last three players, they're all tired. King 9 suited. King Queen goes in, gets a call. Neither of them hit it. It's going to be all about who fancies taking the initiative. There you go.
And that's it. Well, we're going to have to leave that little cash game there. Just saw a little bit of it.
Have a little look.
We've come to the end of the road, unfortunately, but I've enjoyed it tonight.
Very good stuff.
Good poker. Thank you for all your emails from Bang Hot Rum Tot and Lenny Horsey on you, Nick. Thanks for watching PNL from Matt and me. Good night.